everyone. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for joining me. And I have an illustrious panel for you guys tonight. If you're coming in late, come in, hang out. But let's get it going. This is in my right hand side. This is Nagasi, KB, Tawana. Tawana's going to be off camera tonight, and Mr. Rogers reviews. So, Mr. Or Jay, if you'd like to call him Jay. But y'all, I've been seeing all this stuff about Swarm. And I'm like, I need to talk about this. I need to see what is going on with this show. So I feel like I a little bit pressured Nagazi to watching this because I really wanted to get it. and girls too. And Jay had already watched it. But I said, I was like, listen, y'all, we got to talk about this. Because one, I love the fact that we've been talking about how Black movies or movies with Black people, we're not a monolith. We can do all things. Mm-hmm. And this they went there with this one. So let's go. Hold on one second. So okay, and let me go to present first of all. I'll share my screen and hold on one second. So what did you guys think of the movie? Let me just ask a general question. Let me go to KB first. KB, your general thoughts. What would you rate it 1 to 10?
Oh gosh, a 1 to 10. I would say 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, KB.
I was just saying, it was good. I just, first of all, when I saw the previews, and I think we talked about this, I thought it was a movie and not a television show. And so I was expecting a movie and found a television show, but I think, and I know we'll get into this, that episode 6 kind of messed me up. And then I think 5, 6, and 7 was just rushed to me.
Okay. Nagasi, what did you think? And y'all, and then I want to go to Nagasi, then Tawana, and then Mr. Rogers. Well, I'm presenting. My slides are not coming up. So yeah, Nagasi, what did you think?
Like you said, I got on this late, so I actually finished watching it yesterday. So I'm like fresh take, I guess. But if I had to give it a ranking, probably a 7 out of 10. It definitely has some issues that we got to talk about. But what's her name? Dominique Fishback. I mean, the performance. I think she was on Power. Is that what it was called on Netflix? Like I saw you saw like glimpses, but I didn't see that as far as like a performance that she could bring to the screen. Just because I didn't know that was the type of role that she could do. But she definitely killed that. So that definitely carried the show. Plus, it was only 30 minutes instead of like 40-minute episodes. So I appreciated that.
Tawana, what did you think?
I liked it. I thought it was good. So 1 out of 10. I think it would be a 7 for me as well. I remember seeing her in this other movie on Prime called, I believe it's Ptolemy Gray. Ptolemy Gray. It's with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I saw her. And I was like, oh, wow, she's really good. So when I saw her in this, I was like, oh, I remembered seeing her in that other Amazon Prime movie. So I enjoyed it. You know, some parts were kind of creepy, and I thought like, oh, this is like a parody of what people must think the Beehive is like,
right?
Or Beyonce.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers, Jay, what did you think?
So I guess I'm in the minority because I thought it was a like 8.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Disclaimer, I am a huge Donald Glover fan. So it's like, I love Atlanta. This was Atlanta written all over. If you saw the Teddy Perkins episode of Atlanta, you was like, okay, he can do horror. If him and Jordan Peele decide to do something together, it'll be amazing in my mind. But
Okay.
Dominique Fishback, my first time seeing her was not first time, but like she did a real good performance in Judas and the Black Messiah. If y'all ever seen that movie,
I did.
she was the girlfriend, the wife of Franklin.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
uh,
oh yeah, she was.
yeah. So I knew she had the acting chops, but this she kind of blew me away, especially in episode 4. So it was like, yo, and I get why people kind of saying that it felt rushed around by like episode 5 or 6, but I mean, valid points. I just love the mockumentary style of how they try to implement all these real life cases and then spread it throughout. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, so I'm gonna give my opinion. I actually agree with KB. I'm at a 6.5. I was leaning towards a 7, and the reason is one, Dominic Fishback. All of the character breakdowns were excellent. I really love. I even Chloe Billing. We're gonna get into that with the Damson Idris thing, but um
Mhm.
Chloe, I loved even Leon coming in, Cree Summer, like everybody, even like they only had one episode. The detective episode, we're gonna get into that because I was like, well, wait a minute, what am I watching? Like did something what happened? But all of the actors were excellent. But and my issue is and the story. My issue is one of my favorite episodes was when she just became when she just evolved into the serial killer. Was that episode 3 when she was in LA? One of my favorite characters was the nice sweet guy who'd lost all like 300 pounds, and then she throws him into a free. And oh, y'all, disclaimer: we are going to give away spoilers, so if you haven't seen it, sorry for you. But she doesn't want to kill him, throws him into a freezer. There were so many episodes where I was like, okay, what happened to this character? Okay, what happened? Okay, what happened? Is he like did he is he frozen to death in a gluttonous mass because of that cake? Like what are y'all doing? So there were so many times I was like, well, what happened to this? The strippers. There were so many endings that were just not complete to me. That was my issue with it. But everything else, like the character breakdowns, why she's doing this, the fact that she had just evolved, into the serial killer. I liked that part. And even just everything else, it was just putting pieces together, So that was my issue. I was at a 6.5. Yeah. So yeah, and I got I literally I had to watch the episode with the parents, not the detective episode 5, who was actually written by it was written by Obama. Was it, or what's her name? What's sister?
Malia Obama.
Malia. It was written by Malia Obama, or it's co-written by her. Um so that was Leon and his wife. And then next thing you know, the detective episode, I was like, wait, what's going on here? And so I figured it out that was them several years older, but I didn't know that. Did you guys figure that out? KB, did you figure that out?
The with the detective episode that it was like fake.
Yeah, well, of course it was fake,
Yeah,
but the parents,
the parents.
Harris Jackson and Patricia Jackson.
I,
I'm skipping ahead a little bit, you guys.
no, it's okay. Because I'm trying to remember when they showed the picture. Because she was going through the house and she saw the picture, and so I think you saw the family picture before the parents actually came home. So you got the glimpse that was their house.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think I got that. The thing that I didn't get from that episode, I know they kept on saying that they were sisters. I just thought that they were play sisters, and I didn't realize that whole dynamic until episode 5, and then really in episode 6.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, this is what my issue is with it. So okay, so let's go back. So what did you guys think of this whole controversy? On TikTok, there all these guys are coming in and saying this was a bad look for Chloe Bailey, and that her and Damson Idris shouldn't have been, she shouldn't have been doing that. What did you guys think of that?
They're acting. I mean, like she's an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Let her be. I just think society has it in their mind that Chloe Bailey is this good girl. She's innocent, and they won't allow her to grow up.
Right. That's my issue with it too, because I was like, well, wait, what's the issue? Because she was actually having sex, because isn't she's an adult now, y'all. You know that she's an adult. But or was it because she was taking it from the back? Like, why are y'all so upset about this? So, okay, so I really want to ask the men on the panel, Nagasi, what did you think?
Yeah, I don't really understand the reason behind the controversy. I feel like that if that's the most controversial thing that people were looking at out of this entire show, I question whether you watch the entire show, because this is very low on this. Like after episode 2 or 3, I completely forgot about this scene. It was a lot more things that stuck out to me. Like I'm surprised that they actually went there. So yeah, I don't understand it, but I guess that's kind of unfortunately like something she's got to deal with. I hear about it all the time, but it was crazy, Twitter and everything that was like going on. It was wild.
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Rogers. Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, Twitter took that and ran with it for one. I First of all, we got to get back to like how Tawana was saying, like society sees her as this little girl, and for a lot of men in general, we have this idea of like our perception of a person when we first see them, it never really changes. So when somebody does something like this, it's shocking and it's jarring. But if you really look at her career, she's been showing that she has the sex appeal and everything ever since that song she did on like what a year ago, where
Right.
booty so big, Lord have mercy. Like that song was popping all over the place. I don't understand why people are shocked that she went in this direction. Like
Yeah.
that video she turned up.
So that's what I was like. Why is everybody so upset about this? Wasn't she's doing music like this for the last year since the pandemic? And one guy on actually on TikTok, he said, well, she started out as a gospel singer. I said, you're right. Her and her sister started out singing gospel. They are adults now. You guys gotta she grow up with her. And you're right, Nagasi. That's exactly what I thought. I said, is that what y'all are worried about in this movie? Okay. So let's talk about her first kill then. So she goes to the house because I did not know what happens, everybody, the controversy about this. And she goes to Damson Idris' house, was Khalid's house.
Wait, Crystal, before we go into that, can we get into suicide?
Oh yes, I'm sorry. Absolutely.
Okay.
That was I did write that down. So Chloe Bailey, her Marissa, sorry, she commits suicide while Drea is out. And I felt like, okay, she just left. And before we get into that, KP, because I want you to talk about that. And I said, okay, your best friend leaves, and okay, you go out and have a one night stand. That means that she's not your be all and end all, and you can actually try to have a life with outside of that. And basically, and then she comes home and Chloe, she finds Chloe dead. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, KB?
So with the suicide thing, and I know I'm kind of skipping here. It's interesting that the parents then blame her for blame Dre. Let me stop saying her because there are like so many hers in this. How the parents blame Dre for Marissa's death.
Mm-hmm.
When Marissa committed suicide, and you see the scar on her arm before, which means that she had a previous suicide attempt. And just when you flash forward to episode 5, when you're looking at the parents and you see their home and you see how they interact with each other, I'm
Right.
just like, did you even know that she was dating this guy, Khalid? Was he on your radar at all? Did you understand anything of what was going on in her life? Like, you just went straight to blaming Dre, but I felt like the rest of her life didn't go with her family.
No, there was a lot of secrets, and honestly, that's one of my on my list of unexplained things, because that was the scar on Marissa's wrist. So I was like, was she previously a cutter? Like what? And that scar is well healed, And Drea, and I have to sneeze, says, or Marissa says, you don't have to kiss it every time you see it anymore. So sorry, excuse me. So I feel like that was a couple of years ago, and nobody knows what she's been through but Drea. Like they've been, ride or die for so long, and they looked out for each other. So I
Yeah, and
do
I'll
feel,
add this too. She was even smoking weed, and I'm like, she's the one that introduced weed to Dre.
yeah, there was a lot of things that Chloe was doing. But I think that also there was a lot of things that Chloe was doing that her family and they didn't know about. But I also think that Drea was stuck. Like that's all she had was Marissa. She only had Marissa, and without Marissa, she was gone. Like there was nothing. The killing was what fed her, because Chloe was feeding her, or not Chloe. Marissa was feeding her and giving her life before. Now Marissa's gone. That's all she has. So, and that was one of my unexplained things, was her the previous suicide attempt. So what did you guys think about that and about the suicide? Nagasi, go ahead. Is Tawana still here?
Yeah, the suicide. Initially, I was surprised they got rid of her, so to speak. I mean, I know she appeared later in the show, but I'm surprised that they kind of went that direction so early on in episode 1. And the way I thought it was going to play out was that she was just going to learn more about her sister, things she didn't know through her phone. Which that's why when that phone died, I'm like, yeah, somebody gonna have to. I expected a lot of bodies to fall when that phone died, because the girl went completely unstable. But that gave us the parent scene. That's my favorite scene by far in the entire show. That's definitely what sold it, because it's just like Leon, and then just the chemistry and just how everything was executed. That's definitely probably one of my favorite scenes of the year so far.
We actually, that's one of my questions too, is which episode was each person's favorite episode. But I agree with you, Nagasi. I was surprised that they got rid of her so soon, or went the suicide route. Especially, before I watched the show, I thought Chloe Bailey was all throughout this whole season, all throughout every episode. But no, she just lives in her mind. So I was surprised that they got rid of her, or but after watching it, I thought, well, how is she going to evolve into a serial killer if Marissa's still around? Yeah, go ahead. Jay, what did you think about the suicide portion? Marissa killing herself.
Oh well. First I want to say a lot of the stuff that in the show is based off real life, so we gotta kind of like tread lightly on how like we talk about it just a little bit, but because somebody might find it like a little disrespectful. But I thought that I don't know if I didn't see it coming, like how everybody said, like because it happened so early in the show, but it did make sense to me because of the fact that how close their bond was. If anything, it was more of a character development for Dre, to where she has to pretty much like that what's that golden rule of writing, the journey, the hero's journey type thing, where something drastic has to happen in their life, so they go on this trip. So Chloe going is the reason why she evolved into this next this this serial killer going around finding people who talk bad about Nigel,
Yeah.
because they both held on to it so dearly. And if you hear throughout the series, what she hear Marissa say is, if anybody's crazy enough to meet Nigel, it's you. So that's what she's like holding on to, and that's what she's that's feeding her. Like I said earlier, feeding her to continue this. So them showing the scar was them setting that suicide up for later on that episode.
And you're absolutely right. Suicide is very serious. It's very I have that in my history. It's not me, but I know people who've done that. So it is very serious, and we do have to be very conscious of that. So yeah, we want to tread lightly. And it is based on real, people and real life experiences. But as I just said, I agree with you that if Marissa wasn't gone, that's how she evolves into this. And Nija's her only connection. Nija's her only connection to Marissa, that phone. So, Tawana, what did you think about that portion?
It was unexpected. I knew when she found out that her boyfriend was cheating on her and that she was upset. I didn't think she'd take her own life. I mean, that was just really shocking. Like, I knew she would be mad and hurt. I don't know, maybe go drive off and, try and find him or whatever, maybe beat the girl up, but that suicide, that surprised me. That was a shock for me.
I'm surprised that it happened so. And when I say that it surprised me, it happened so quickly. And when I say that, like, she had just left the house to go stay with Khalid, and
Right.
then all of this happens. She can't find Drea, and I think that that's also why Drea feels so guilty as well, because her phone died.
Yeah.
So her phone dies, and then poor Marissa, unalives herself. So she feels like it's her fault. She wasn't there for her friend. And so that's part of it. That's part of, a much bigger issue. So I think that played a role in it. And also, she felt like she didn't have anybody else. They both did. So it was,
Yeah.
I was surprised it happened so quickly as well. I didn't think that that's where she was going to go with it. So yeah. And even if she tried it, I didn't expect, I said, well, she's in the hospital and, maybe the attempt, but I didn't think that it was going to go that way. So yeah, that's really what I mean by that. It was just surprising to me. Yeah. So go ahead.
I would say this. I was watching while I was watching. I did tweet it like stress gifts. Like, this is only the first episode, bro. Like, what's going on?
Right. And that wasn't the end of the episode. That's what I was like, wait a minute. We're only like 20 minutes in. What's 15, 20 minutes? To Nagasi's point, I have to say, he packed a lot in 35 minutes. What did you think when I saw this that it's going to be a series? I said, oh, this is an hour long each episode. But no, he packed a lot of information in 35 minutes. I was actually very surprised by that. Yeah, that was just the first episode. But as we know, with those things, those stressors, that was not her first attempt, and you don't know what she's been going through, with her Andrea. And I just felt like there were a lot of missing parts that we just did not pick up. Yeah. So we're gonna get to the kill. I want to get to Khalid and in this section. What did you guys think of this section? KB, what did you guys think when you see her go to Khalid's house? What did you think?
Okay, I guess I'm going to be called on first all the time. It's okay.
I'll switch it up.
No, it's okay. It's okay. All right. So, let me say this, Mr. Rogers. I'm happy that you brought that up, because, and I didn't even talk to Crystal about this. About 2 weeks ago, one of my friends actually committed suicide. So when I watched that first episode, I was like, yeah, it was a little triggering for me. So I didn't study this as well, but I went back and I rewatched it today. So I will say that. And then
So
so I was able to watch it, with a clearer head. But yeah, so in that first episode, when she goes and she's after him, like I remember like her saying to him, "Oh, you said that." What did he say to her? Naja wasn't special, right? And so that's what she's like, "Well, you said Naja wasn't special," and okay, so I get the whole tying this into Naja and Naja equaling Beyonce and all of that, and I am not a Beehive person. Oh, and let's even go back further. She paid $1,800 for a ticket. I'm just like, why? But yeah, but that first. Oh, sorry.
So I'm just saying, people will do that.
No, people have the. I mean, we see that with this tour, right? That people are just spending rent, mortgage, bill money on tickets and not on their actual bills. And people are doing it, just running up credit cards. But with this kill, I felt like, and this kind of goes to the suicide, that I think when somebody's gone, like you feel like you could have done something, and it's just she couldn't go to the funeral, right? And what she did have left was him, and so because he was kind of the, oh, he cheated on me, and she tried to warn her, she tried to warn Marissa about this guy, and I think it was just her thinking she could do something, and the way that I kind of read that relationship was she and Marissa had this bond, and their bond was Naija. And then along comes Khalid, and Khalid breaks that bond. And he also kind of broke her, like Marissa's love with Naija. Because when she's talking about, Naija, Marissa's just like, oh, you're still doing that? You're still tweeting from that account? You're still doing this? And so I think she recognizes him as the thing that's breaking that bond that they have.
First, I want to say my condolences to you, KB. And we haven't talked in a while, so I do apologize hearing about that. Yeah, so we'll talk offline after this. Yeah, and going back to Khalid, he when what's her name, Marissa talks about, oh, you're still doing that, and then she's like, I got us Naija tickets, and Khalid's taking me to Atlanta for my birthday, and so everything is falling apart around her. I felt like, well, not falling apart. She's her only connection, her best friend, her the person she loves the most, his this person Khalid is coming in between them. So then she goes out. Now Marissa's gone, so she goes to see Khalid. I actually wasn't sure that she was going to kill him, because Khalid was our first kill. I didn't know she was going to go to. I actually, because I thought that I was like, either she's going to have sex with her because remember the first scene, or she's going to kill, like something. She's going to do something, So it was either she wants to be what Marissa was and transform herself, or I didn't know she was going to kill him. So I wasn't sure about that. So yeah, so that's what I was going to say. Nagasi, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you look at their relationship, Marissa and Dre's, like on the surface, you would really think Marissa's taking care of Dre, but like the longer I watched the episode, it actually was the opposite. You actually saw it's more like when it really mattered most, it was Dre who was always there for Marissa. So I liked how they kind of flipped that by the end of it. But like KB said, and again, my condolences as well. Khalid got in the way of that. So it's kind of like I'm handing off whatever responsibility, whatever like role I was feeling to you. And she didn't want to do that, but that's what happened. And so once he betrayed that, which she told him, like, he tried to sleep with me. So it's like you already know he ain't a good guy, but she didn't want to hear that. And like you said, when the phone died, that just made it worse because she felt like she probably could have changed something. So yeah, that's that. It was a heartbreaking just seeing how it all played out.
Yeah, I really, I mean, you have to remember that he is also the reason he broke her. Like in a sense, he's the reason why she committed suicide because he broke up with her. He betrayed her trust. She couldn't get in touch with Dre. She was home alone, crying her eyes out and everything. So she went to that house knowing I knew it was over a wrap for him. Like as soon as that door he opened that door, I was like, "Yep, he's gone." But how it happened was so sudden that it still caught you by surprise because it was just like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna want some tea. My mom make some fire tea," and then she just snatched that thing off the thing, just run up behind him. So even though I knew it was coming, it still caught me by surprise.
Tawana, what did you think about the scene?
It caught me by surprise that she killed him. Like when she, was going over there, like you said, I thought maybe she would have slept with him to maybe feel more of a connection to her sister, like, oh, this my sister's man, if I, be with him, we can talk about Marissa, I don't know, trauma bonding.
Right.
They both suffered a loss. So was it a skillet she picked up or whatever? And
it was like a lamp.
It was like a lamp that had it was like one of those marble lamps because she ripped the wire out of it.
Okay, yeah. When she knocked the mess out of him, that shocked me. I was like, oh my God. And then she started eating. Yeah. I was like, what is that all about? And like after every kill, she had to eat.
Well, it was gluttonous. She had to feed. It was, and I know I'm saying it the wrong way. Well, kind of saying it the wrong way, but she was so shocked. It was like adrenaline, and it was like a rush, So what happens when she needed to feed, and she's the sugar. You know what I mean? That specifically, So yeah, it was gluttonous and a better. If you can describe it a better way, go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
I was saying because she don't smoke. She did it one time and she felt like she was terrible. She doesn't drink, so it was like something had to calm her nerves down after that high of doing that kill. So she grabbed the first thing, and that's kind of like her whole mo was just like eating snack food and a whole bunch of soda and sugar and stuff like that. That's her high. That's her drug that she was using to calm herself down for most of the episodes.
Right, and now it's turned into an addiction. Now the killing is turned into an addiction. The food is turned into addiction. It's like this is and I watched Criminal Minds, but it's like that's how she is evolved as a killer. You know what I mean? So now she's got to do one thing and then she's got to eat afterwards. It's yeah, and it did shock the hell out of me. Go ahead, Nagasi.
I was just saying, out of all of her kills, though, this is the one that made the most sense to me. Just given like the background, the history. There's definitely some other ones that are like they raised some eyebrows, but like this was the one that to me was like clear cut. I completely understood, not like Dunkin' Donut, obviously, but understood like the motive behind it. So that was crazy, and I do apologize. I actually have to run, but it was great talking with Crystal. I'll make sure we definitely have to reconnect to do another one, so I can make sure I can stay longer next time.
Yes, we need to reconnect at the end. And now, before you go, Nagasi, and people are gonna rewatch Gang This. I know everybody's on Kojo's thing right now, so I'll have some people be rewatching this tonight. But go ahead and give everybody your handles and tell them what you're gonna be doing next.
Oh yeah, handles, all of them are Nagasi.McKenzie, Twitter, Instagram, all that. Coming up next is Bel Air, so be on the lookout for that. I'm excited to see what they've got in store for the rest of the season 2, which has been phenomenal. So
okay. Thank you so much. We'll be having Nagasi on for our next one. All right, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Have a good night, bro.
So yeah, so I agree with him. This was the one that I was like not okay with, but I understood. And after this, I was like, girl, now you're just going into, is this the next one? Okay. So
there's actually a reason for that.
Right. Oh no, go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
The reason being is because what Donald Glover did and his writing team did was they scoured pretty much throughout the whole country any type of murders that were related to like a Beehive or any type of Stan account. So they tied all of it up to one person, made it seem like she was going around from country, state to state, killing people and this and that third. And certain incidents that real life happened to Beyonce are thrown in, like her getting bite, the elevator incidents, even down to where she runs out and they say, you know, that's the girl from Love and Basketball, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
rumor that Sanaa is the one that bit Beyonce, you know. So, so it does seem out of place and unorganized, mainly because of that.
No, and I get that. I get that you have to connect it to something. You know, Khalid is connected to Marissa. Then, of course, she would go and connect it first, and then each storyline is connected, of course, to the Beehive. But when you think this is the only one that made sense because it's connected to her history, and then she's just now she's
Because of the
evolved
story.
into right until her story, but is now she's she's on the run. Okay.
Yeah.
And now she's a serial, now she's on the run and now she's stripping. And I get the stripping too. I understood that because that's where she can be inconspicuous. She can like change her name, nobody cares. Well, yeah, and she can make some easy money and do what she wants.
Well,
So,
she was suing for the dude that was talking junk about Marissa on Twitter.
right.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
So
Crystal, I'm sorry. Before we go, the reason why he wasn't why that kind of makes sense is because he wasn't sympathetic, right? Like he was an unsympathetic victim, and
mm.
so oh, what were you gonna say?
No,
go ahead.
I'm agreeing with you. I was agreeing with you.
Oh, I saw Crystal go like this. I was like, but this goes back to our Killer Sally thing when she killed her husband. It's like he's still the victim. He's just not sympathetic, and so that's what's happening here. It's like he's not sympathetic because we see him being a villain in somebody's like he's kind of a villain in her story, but he's just not a sympathetic victim.
He's not our sympathetic victim. Absolutely not. I understand what you're saying. He's not the sympathetic victim to the audience at all. And he's the villain in the story. So when you say that's the one that makes sense, of course, that's the one that, you know, he's the unsympathetic victim because, yeah, he's the villain in the story because and to her and to us, he's kind of the reason why, you know, Marissa killed herself. But we know that Marissa was dealing with other things the whole time, but it doesn't matter. She has someone to blame and and then that makes it easier the next time and the next time and the next time, as well as the Nija stuff. So yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So now we're going to, what did you guys think of episode 3 with the strippers, with her becoming a stripper, and all of this? What did you guys think of that? Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead, Tawana. Is Tawana here? Okay, she stepped away. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers. I know where Tawana went.
Yeah, the one with the stripper, that one made sense to me too. But because at first I was like, why is she a stripper? And like she's awkward with it. Like she's definitely not a stripper. But then when they tied it into the man that she was looking for, to do with the Titan hat, that he was from Twitter. He's the one that said, "Oh, that dumb bee killed herself over Nigel," and she wanted to get him. It made sense to me because okay, first he talked junk about Nigel, of course, and then two, he also talked junk about her sister. So
Right.
she was like, "I'm gonna do whatever it takes." And then if you like look at the episode again, she went through his Twitter thread, found out what strip club he liked to be at, became the stripper there, made sure that she was there the mornings that he be there, just so she can get an insight with him. And I think it just happened that she ended up killing Paris Jackson because she was getting on her nerves for one. Like she was
Right.
trying to get too close into her life. So she was like, y'all gotta go. Because I think at first, in my mind, she tried to kill the boyfriend so she can go.
Yeah.
But then when she saw her, she was like, well, I gotta take you out too. So and then look behold that they needed her to drive and car trouble. The dude she looking for pops up. So she was like, you know what? I'm gonna do it right now. So it makes sense to me.
You know, This was actually one of my favorite episodes. This episode and the next episode is one of my favorite episodes. So it totally made sense to me, not just because, of course, stripping, she's got easy money, but she was a horrible stripper, but she wasn't supposed to be a good stripper. She's not supposed to be a good stripper because she's not a stripper. She's just trying to hide out, get the extra money, but also she's trying to find this guy, Reggie Wilkins, and because but it's Twitter. He talked junk about Nyjah and he talked junk about her sister. And I feel like she was, because the first kill was Khalid, and that was, like we said, the unsympathetic victim. But the second guy, and y'all, I tried so hard to find a picture of this guy choking her, and just the picture of him in this tow truck. But and Apple TV, or not Apple, Prime, y'all got a better hold on your pictures. On your the screenshots were hard, but Netflix was easy from when we did Candy. But this was so funny to me because the girls trying to get her into the fold and trying to get her to understand, and she's like, but it's Nyjah. It's not. And she, in her head, Nyjah's the greatest thing coming. And we're going to start talking about the stan culture in a second, Mr. Rogers, because to her, she doesn't compute that this is, I got to make money, or I'm doing this for this reason. She just wants to kill this person. She just wants to make easy money so she can go. So talk about this scene with Paris Jackson and trying to befriend her. So, Tawana, you go ahead. What did you think of? Are you back, Tawana? She's back. Go ahead, KB. Yes, I called you first.
Nope, that's okay. So I don't know if either of you guys saw the show Dexter, but it kind of reminded me, like, towards the end, obviously, after she kills Paris Jackson's boyfriend. And then Paris Jackson's like, oh, great, we did it. Listen, and it reminded me of Dexter, because every time somebody tried to meet Dexter's partner, he's like, no, I'm a solo act. I just do this by myself. And he has to get rid of people. So that made me think of that. So I thought, I think that was just, I don't even think she wanted to kill her boyfriend. It was just like, no. This is annoying. This is nagging. And you guys are just in my way.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a means to an end. And so she was like, okay, her boyfriend's abusing her. And not only will I kill this abuser, but I will get this girl out of my hair. And then Paris Jackson, and her name, I have her name written down here, but she's so excited. Haley, thank you. She's so excited and so happy that, like, she feels like that she's got like this relief. And now she's like, oh, I've got a partner. I've got somebody that, because that's all Haley wants, is a connection as well. Haley's lonely too. And Haley needs to get out of this abusive relationship. And so she finds this person that she thinks can help her. Tawana, what did you think of the scene with Haley and Paris Jackson and the boyfriend, the abusive boyfriend, and the stripper scene? Go ahead, Tawana, you're back.
I thought that was crazy. Like Haley, I just thought she was looking for someone to cling on to, and she thought she had found that in Drea. Like, oh, you're struggling just like I am. Oh, you live in this motel. Oh, well, I'll come stay with you. It's like, and obviously that's not what Drea's looking for. Drea's on her own mission. Yeah, and like she really thought she had found a friend in Drea.
Right. And then when she goes, and I knew it was going to happen. I knew she had to shoot her. She had to shoot her because to me, she had to shoot her because I said, this girl, one, I'm not your friend. We're not Thelma and Louise. And now you're talking too much. And not only are you going to give us away, but I can't have a partner. I can't have a partner. So she had to shoot her. And I was like, you know what? I feel bad, but this poor girl, you had to go. You had to go. Yeah. It was just really crazy how now that she's totally evolved. Okay. Quick question, you guys. Why is everyone so easy to talk to her and just want to be her friend? Mr. Rogers, does she just look like um just this quiet girl that, oh, I can talk to her? What was I know what I think, but go ahead. What did you think? Because
I think it was more. I think it was more of she's vulnerable. She looks vulnerable. She like somebody I can take advantage of, and she just and like an easy mark type thing. Because the vibe that I got that Haley was all the strippers are picking on her, so I'm gonna be the one that be nice to her, and I can be and take advantage of her however I want to. That's how I took it. So she's the quiet one, the quiet girl. You can just go up to her and start talking to her. And for one, when it comes to people just being quiet, a lot of people in society now don't know how to be quiet. If you're talking to somebody and they just just staring at you, you're gonna keep on talking for some reason because you don't want it to be awkward. So you're gonna
right.
start stealing all type of unnecessary information that you probably wouldn't tell anybody. So that's quiet and awkward. That's the reason why everybody's talking to her.
So you think the same thing about Drea? Because to me, I feel like everybody was coming up to Drea because she was quiet and she was they think of her as nice, sweet, and sweet. I'm like, the fact that she was quiet, like you just said, everybody's not, no, people aren't quiet anymore. So the fact that she was quiet, that to me is like, okay, she's hiding something. Okay, KB, you're nodding your head. What do you think of everybody was so wanting to just talk to Drea? What did you think of that?
Yeah, I agree with Miss Rogers. It's really because she was just quiet. Because I'll say this, I was quiet all throughout college, and people would do that to me too. So a lot of these experiences that she had, and minus all the killing, obviously, but like I would experience that, and it's just because I was quiet. I don't like the gossip. And people just tell me things. I don't know what I do with that information. But that's what happens. It's like when you're quiet and people think that they can talk to you and you won't then spread their business to other people, they will
Right.
continue to talk.
I get that, but I was like, why does everybody want to befriend this girl? Like, you don't know anything about her. She just showed up with wanting to be a stripper, and you don't know, she could be. And to me, I'm like, but see, that's just me. But she could be a serial killer. Everybody wanted to befriend her.
But I
So
think the
yeah,
idea is like look at the alternative in each of the episodes, right? So in the first episode, it's Marissa and then her boyfriend. Like we all know that Marissa wasn't safe with her boyfriend, right?
right,
And then
true.
in the second episode, it's Haley, who's Paris Jackson playing the stripper. And then the other people are basically the cast from Players Club. And she's not safe with them either.
No.
So the safest person is Marissa. Or I'm sorry, is Dre, who's now calling
Yeah,
herself Carmen. Yeah.
right. Who's not even okay, y'all. I want to talk about this shower scene and this guy, Reginald Wilkins. What did you think about him coming up behind her? Did you expect him to try to choke her out? Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
The whole time she was standing there like waiting, I said, "Why she come up behind her?" Like that's like what happened. I didn't. I honestly thought she was gonna probably get him with this first smack, but when he started choking her out, I said, "Oh nah, she about to get them girls caught up." Them girls are
Yes.
because at first I was like, "Why don't you just take them home and then come back? Like that way you can catch them off guard or whatever. You know you've been up all night. You know you're gonna be asleep." So I don't know. That was just a critic in me just be
Okay.
like, "Oh, you gotta be smarter than that."
So no, I think that plays into her naivete throughout this whole movie. She's still
Yeah,
young, she's still
yeah.
because I thought the same thing. Why don't you take them home first and then come back? You know where the man lives, right? Um, Also, and maybe because I watched too much Criminal Minds on the ID channel, but I was like, you're not wearing any gloves. I was like, why haven't they gotten fingerprints yet? There's certain things that I kept thinking about throughout this whole show, and it was like, okay, and then the next episode she's wearing gloves, and then she's not wearing gloves. I was like, girl, there's so many things that this just plays into the fact that she's young and that she's going to get caught any second or what have you. Go ahead. You know what, Tawana, what did you think about the shower scene in this and the tow truck driver, Reggie Wilkins?
Well, first off, I agree with why no gloves? Like her fingerprints are left everywhere.
Everywhere.
But back to the shower scene, like I didn't think that he was in the shower. Right? Because you didn't hear anybody washing up. You just heard the water running. And I'm like, he's not in there. Mm-hmm. And then when he walked up behind her, he's like, what are you doing? Like, and then she just clocked him in the head. And I mean, I'm glad the other girls came in, right? Because she was about to be a goner. Because he was a big guy. He's a strong guy. And the girls, they don't know what Drea's up to. They don't know about her past. Well, to them, right. She's Carmen. And they come in and like, oh, he's trying to rape her or he raped her. And, so they think they're helping out one of their girls. I'll put in air quotes because they're just using Drea for the ride at the other party that they left or to get to the party and then back from the party. But yeah, and then that girl just pulled out a gun from nowhere.
From nowhere. They had the drop on him. You did not have to kill him. But also, okay, I want to go back to this a little bit. Do you guys think that Drea was like second guessing killing him? And then of course the bees swarming and everything. And so she changed her mind because she kept seeing pictures of his son and she kept seeing little things that I was like, okay, is she changing her mind? Or does she think I don't want to do this? Go ahead, KB, and then Mr. Rogers. You shake your head. What were you thinking about that? And also, I want to ask about the spray. This the second time she sprayed into the it's like, was that a distraction? Go ahead, KB.
So I just want to go back to the evidence part because it's funny that you guys picked it up on this episode because I picked it up on the first episode. I was like, oh, the evidence just doesn't exist. She left her DNA at Khalid's house. They had tea. She was drinking it. She was on the cup. She ate out of the pie. She put it back in. Her fingerprints were like all the evidence was in the first episode. And so I just was like, oh, suspend all logic about evidence and the police being able to find everything from first episode. And that helped me watch the rest of the episodes. But yes, like all of that stuff was in that first kill. With this one, and I wrote down the dates that this happened. So the first episode was April 2016, and then this was August 2017. So she's been trying to hunt him down for over a year.
Right.
And so I don't really think that in the last minute she had a change of heart. I think it was just like, this is the moment. And I think that this was one where it was definitely intentional and not kind of chaotic. Like she really was like, I am going to kill this man. And I think that was the first one where she was very intentionally killing somebody for saying something online, right? The Khalid, that kind of seemed like she didn't really plan it. I don't think that she knew that that's what she was going to do when she went to his house. The boyfriend and then Paris Jackson, that she just kind of did last minute. This one was actually planned, and I think that was kind of the hesitation that she had. Her trying to go after him with the skillet, I think that was only because it had worked the first time. But again, this was a different situation, bigger guy. It wasn't going to work. You weren't going to overpower him. sadly, you're rooting for the killer. So thank God the other strippers were there to kind of save her, and they recognized that she was taking too long. But yeah, none of this, like this one, I don't know how she judged and thought that she was just going to take this man out with a skillet, especially because I just saw you kill Paris Jackson with a gun. So if you had a gun, use the gun. I was just like, why the logic? And like you said, she could have dropped the other strippers off and come back, but you were going to take this guy out with a skillet. And then she was standing there. Again, if you feel like he's in the shower minding his business, like the better thing is just to go and attack him in the shower. But you're going to wait for him to come out. And none of that made any sense. I don't even think she thought of it. I think her big thing was he said something about Marissa and he said something about Nyjah. I'm going to get him. But we could all tell it was a stupid plan.
Go ahead, Mr. Rogers. Go ahead.
Well, I got two things. First, when it comes to like fingerprints and everything, if you're not in a database, they can dust all they want. They'll just have your fingerprints on file until you pop up from like getting arrested or something like that. So that's the like fingerprints, DNA, any hair follicles, all that stuff. They can bag it and tag it, but if you're not in the system anywhere, they're not gonna find you. So like unless you're got pulled over for something and they fingerprinted you for when you got booked, whatever. That's the only time when like fingerprints really come into play for any type of crime. So until they actually catch her, then they can tie her back to all the stuff that she did in the past and everything. And then two, blunt force objects is her. She did it with Khaled. She actually planned the boyfriend, Haley's boyfriend. The gun was just, oh, I got a gun. Let me go ahead and kill this right now. So shoot and everything. So that's her MO. Even in the next episode, the first kill is a mallet. She don't use it. She don't use anything else but blunt objects. So the plan was to get him from the jump. I think the hesitation was, should I do it now or come back? She felt like this is the best time because I have him in my sights. And her being young and naive, she didn't think that like, okay, if she's thinking if I leave, he might go do something. I might have to track him down again. I might have to figure out his schedule. No, let me just go ahead and do it now. It's going to be a quick hit, bop, bop, bop. Because before that, all her two, 3 kills was like 10 seconds. So she was like, I can go in here, slap him upside the head a couple times, make sure he's going to get back and take these girls home. So it was stupid, but it made sense to her. That was my point. So,
Tawana, do you think that this was planned?
This one, yeah, because she didn't like what he said.
Right.
Well, the way that it happened, no, that I don't think that part was planned, but I think, she's specifically looking for him because of what he had said on social media.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, if she has the gun, like, why not use it? I think she gets a rush out of physically hurting someone and seeing, the damage that she can do. Right? Because shooting a gun is too easy. Like, pow, all right, I'm going.
And I do understand that point as far as why she killed Haley with the gun and no one else, because she didn't dislike Haley. She was like, this will be fast, just shoot her. Because, she was just getting on her nerves and she was not going to be like best friends with Haley. She was just like, I got to get rid of her. So I get why she killed Haley with the gun instead of hitting her upside the head. But to me, well, in the Damson Idris one with what's his name, Khalid, I actually don't know that that's what she was going to do when she didn't know what she just needed to connect back with Marissa. She just needed that connection. But she was like, she wasn't sure. She was still in the tug of war, but then she knew she wasn't gonna sleep with him. Well, I don't know. But then I feel like as soon as he kissed her, she's like, I gotta kill him. So I don't know. I like this debate. Y'all. So the guy gets the drop on her, of course. He's like 3 times her size, and then he ends up choking her. I thought he was just gonna stop. because of the way he was talking to her, I was like, is he gonna, because he was like, this girl's crazy. Like, I'm just, whatever. I'm just like, he was actually like, why is she talking to me like this? It's no big deal. And then in that bathroom, I said, oh no. I said, a switch turned in his head. He's like, I gotta kill her because she's been talking to me reckless this whole time. And he's like, I gotta end this. This girl's crazy. The fact that she came after me with a skillet, I gotta end it. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers, and then KB.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, she been talking crazy to him in his home the whole time, and then she smacked him in the face with a skillet. Like she's waiting for me. I'll come in my bathroom and I see somebody waiting for me to ambush me. It's a whole different mindset now. Like at this point, maybe I'm a little justified if I get a little too carried away. You smack me with a skillet. I got a concussion now. So it's one of those things where it's like he was a fight or flight type of situation, So I'm gonna take you out before you take me out. And I mean, he's 3 times her size. He could have just laid on her and wait for her to pass out or something. But I mean, I feel like he was like, look, you've been annoying. You're trying to kill me. I'm gonna go ahead and take you out. So.
Mm-hmm. I actually didn't. I was thinking the same thing. Like, was he gonna just may have her pass out? Like, what was his? And then I said, oh no, he's gonna really kill her. He's because now you're in my home. What did you think of that, KB? That he's now the victim is turned into the aggressor. KB.
Well, to me, I'm just like, I don't know why you thought he wasn't going to kill her. And that would I'm like, why would he not? I mean, he watched her try to kill him.
Yeah. So, no. Well, at first I was like, oh, he's just gonna stop her. But then I said, no, he's gotta kill her. He's gotta kill her. He's gotta stop her. Because we notice he's not a killer. He don't know what, but honestly, the more she talked reckless like that, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you talking about? And so I said, oh no, he's got to stop her. He's got to kill her. He's, I don't know. I was like, is he going to just, like you said, lay on her? How is he just knock her out? But no, he's like, I'm going to kill this girl. So like you said, it's Friday at the time.
Yeah. So I feel like, okay, this is taking ourselves out of the show. If you switch the genders, would you want? Mm-hmm. Would you say maybe he shouldn't kill her? Like, I mean, because
no.
That, he was gonna, yeah.
No, if you switch the genders, still he would have to, and he would have to kill her. He would have to be the aggressor. He would have to be the killer at this point. He would have to.
So that's why I just always thought that he was gonna kill her, because I mean he watched her try to kill him. And so, yeah, it was basically one of us is going to die, apparently, and it's not going to be me.
So then she leaves. And did you think, okay, so these strippers, when she left, when those girls turned around after shooting him, and they're like, where'd Carmen go? I was like, oh, she left y'all. What did you think of that? Or them running after her and they're shocked. I'm sorry. That's why this was one of my favorite episodes. Okay, Tawada, what did you think of that? Those strippers running out, and they were there to help you. They're there to help you.
They saved her, and it's like, oh, we saved you, and you just gonna leave us here? So now we gonna get caught. And sure enough, they got arrested.
They got
caught. I mean, I agree with KB. Yeah, he had to kill her. Because how do I know, if I let you live, how do I know you're not going to try and come back?
Right.
And get me again? So I'm not going to give you that opportunity.
Yeah.
To get me.
I'm not going to.
So you got to go.
You got to go. You got to go. So now she's on the run again. Wait, did I miss? Oh yeah, so this was, where's LA? So after, did I miss LA?
This was episode 2. And then episode 3 is the big dude that lost all the weight.
Yeah.
So this one's in Tennessee. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
in Tennessee. Okay, y'all. So apparently, and I tried to find him too. I tried to find the gluttonous. I'm gonna try to find that one because that was actually one of my favorite. That guy. Okay, and so we're gonna go into this because now she is using Twitter to find her victims. Now she's totally evolved into the serial killer. She's using Twitter to find her victims. Let's talk about this stan culture that like these people are so addicted to these celebrities and they've created this fantasy. They've created this fantasy of these people that they follow. And yeah, they're using this is are they all just lonely people stuck in a room and using Twitter as as their friends and everything? What did you think about that? Okay, I'll go to Tawana. Tawana, you still here? Yeah, Tawana, I'll go to you first. She's now using Twitter as her victims. What did you think about that? Oh, Tawana left again.
Okay. No, I'm here. I couldn't click on the unmute. I think it's now like become her thing, like it's a high. Like anybody that doesn't agree that Naja is the best or, just has something negative to say, I feel like, she's just looking for her next kill. Right? Because she don't know these people on Twitter.
You don't know them.
No, they ain't bothering
It's like,
you.
No, but to her they are. To her, that's her life. That's to her. If you bother Naja, then you're bothering her. To her, any little thing. And the guy. Let me try to get to this. The first
these
victim.
people don't know her. They don't know her from a can of paint.
They don't know her, but she knows that. To her, they're the connection. To her, first of all, okay, so it opens up this guy with this beautiful house in LA. We don't know what he does. I was actually trying to he does something for social media. She comes in and first she whacks him in the leg with a mallet. And he knows somebody's in his house, of course. And then who's your favorite artist? Who's your favorite artist? And he named some anonymous rapper. And she's like, he's got 7 Grammys and Nigel's got 6. Now she's evolved. Now she's got you're right, it wasn't Seattle. Now she's evolved and she's got a motto, she's got a saying, she's got a reason because she knows that they're not going to say Naja. They're not going to say Naja. What if somebody were to turn around if she said, "Who's your favorite artist?" and her victim said, "Naja. Naja's my favorite artist. My favorite song is so and so." She knew that wasn't going to happen because she had already prepared to kill him and she's like, "I got receipts. You said this about Naja." So to me, she's literally looking on Twitter for her victims. So what did you think about that first scene? KB, I'm going to go to you. That first scene with that.
So first of all, beautiful house. I guess there are some YouTubers that just make that much money that they can get those houses off of, their YouTube videos. Lovely. Yeah, with that stan culture, I honestly don't even get it. I don't get it. You don't know these people. You don't know their real lives. Like I said, spending $1,800 on a concert ticket just makes no sense to me whatsoever. But, not paying your rent or not, because even in that first episode, it seems like she hasn't paid rent in months. But, you got to go see Queen Naja. Now you're going after these people that talk badly about her. And so I think it's like two things here too, right? So there are the stans, But then in this episode, you also see how there are people that say whatever it is that they want to about people online and then think that they can live a life without consequences, right? And so there's kind of a warning for both groups of people. And with her going after this guy was just like, your receipt is Twitter. And it just seemed like he just says stuff reckless on Twitter, but doesn't even think about it. But people don't know, like, you say stuff on Twitter, but there will be consequences. And a lot of times people are now losing their jobs. But they think, well, it was just Twitter. It was just this. And this is obviously an extreme of that. But yes, you do have freedom of speech where you won't get punished by the government, which is what that means. But that doesn't mean that you won't get consequences from other people. So, yeah, I think it's kind of both. But I also feel like the second one of the group of people that say whatever they want to online is lost because the stan culture is so bad. Because obviously, nobody needs to die over what they said on YouTube or on Twitter. But people do say reckless things on YouTube and Twitter.
Mr. Rogers, go ahead. Let's talk about the stan culture, because she really has made these people the scapegoat for her love of this artist.
So when it comes to stan culture, it's like you have like degrees, I would say, because I'm a J. Cole fan. Like, I love Dreamville. I love stuff. I wish I was at Dreamfest right now, but I should have made better life decisions, But but I am nowhere near this level of a fan where if somebody say, "Oh, J. Cole's not the best rapper alive," that I'm gonna go and try to fight them or hurt them or anything. I'm like, hey, that's your opinion. Salute to you. Um, so she's definitely on that deep end of Twitter reactions and people that take Twitter way too serious. I was just on Twitter not too long ago, and somebody said something about Quinta Brunson, and it was a whole thing going on where he went and digged into the girl's archives and brought like a picture of her, and now she's like famous in a bad way. So people are just mean, for one. People are just mean in the social media. There's a dark side of social media that a lot of people cannot survive from. You have people that take themselves out because of it, and it's sad. Um, but reflecting to the show, I like how KB was saying, I love the duality of it, to where you have the stands fighting people who just say whatever they want. And I'm not gonna lie, when I was like 16, 17, that's probably was like one of the things I did before I got off to it. I was like, oh, shut up. Somebody saying something real profound, and I'd be like, well, man, you ain't you don't know nothing. I'll be a troll. But it wasn't nothing to this degree. So Dre going around touching those people that think they're untouchable probably set fire to a lot of people that's been in those situations of being trolled and stuff like that. So they're like, oh yeah, he ain't this, he ain't that. So I can see people actually rooting for Dre in this sense versus thinking that she's a bad person. Because let's be honest, it's a lot of people. It's not just Beyonce fans, Nicki Minaj fans, Cardi B fans. You got Chris Brown fans. You got Neo. The list goes on. Everybody have their certain group of fans that can go rabid sometimes. So everybody, but Beyonce is just the biggest, right? I think Nicki Minaj is catching up though, but it's I love the spotlight of putting on showing both sides of the story.
I do too. I love the spotlight of showing both sides of it. That, listen, like when that guy, right before she bashed his head in, she was like, it's Twitter. Like that's what we do. We talk a lot of crap about people, and it's no big deal. But to her, it was so deep seated, and it really was like, you're talking about my love, the love of my life. Like it hurt her to her core. And we're going to get into later on, like, you don't know what people are dealing with, but to her, it really was meaningful. And just like you were just saying, there's people, I remember years ago when I guess Justin Bieber was up for all of these awards on the Grammys, and this a black cello artist, she won over him for best new artist and best record of the year. His stands like wrecked her Wikipedia. Like people went in and just called her everything under the sun. Like, and I'm like, y'all don't know this girl. Like, just like you said, the Justin Bieber fans, and like same thing with, I guess, the Swifties and stuff like that. I was like, why is this so important to you that you're like messing up somebody else's light because you're so in love with this person who you don't know and that could care less about you, but they really took it so personal, and she's taken this so personal. And I, like you said, I'm glad they're showing the other side of it. When he said it's Twitter, like it's whatever. And the next after this scene, when she's cleaning up the blood, and we're going to talk about that in a second, but I was like, wow, these are how you're finding your people, and you're not understanding that they have another life. They have, somebody might say something, write a couple sentences, and go on about their business, go to the gym, do whatever. And she's not understanding that because this is her life. This is all she has. So the stan culture is huge. And you're right. Somebody said something about just Quinta Brunson a couple weeks ago that she didn't go to, that she went to a charter school all her life. And it was so funny because, and I haven't seen the most recent thing that you're talking about, but she responded once, and all of her fans, just an onslaught, that she's like, I only have to respond once to this. And then everybody, she has not responded since. Everybody else is like just tore this woman to shreds. And I was like, y'all, stop. Go ahead, Mr. Robinson. You're on mute.
Yeah, the just real quick, the thing that she was on Saturday Night Live on last night, and she said a joke towards Friends, where I'm not gonna, I can't quote unquote it. It's basically what she was saying. Friends, she wanted to be on Friends or something, and it was like an all white cast, and now she got a show that's no. She said I have a show that has black people in it, unlike Friends who had no black people in it, something like that. So somebody tweeted, it's crazy how black people are still looking for white people acceptance. Even in her highest moment, she still got to throw this out. And it was something, it was really stupid. It was
Oh
really
my
dumb.
God.
But he went, when somebody called him out on it, he went overboard with trying to like embarrass her. Like he went cutthroat. I mean, she didn't even say nothing really crazy at top. Like he went straight for her weight and all kinds of stuff. And I was just like, bro, that's wild. Like that's, I know Twitter's the wild wild west, but that's wild.
Yeah. Yeah, Twitter's a cesspool, but Twitter's just, people are saying how Twitter's the worst. It's the worst. It's the worst, and you can always find somebody to rebut you. And I appreciate the fact that, like, we're all on Instagram and other platforms, but the fact that Donald Glover used Twitter specifically, like, I think that was, of course, we all know that was intentional as well. That he went to Twitter. The fact that you're using this as your reason, but she's that's how she finds her reason. So okay, so Tawana, I want to talk about the fact that after she kills, she's dancing, she's just so like, this is what's made her happy. Like, what did you think about this scene, her dancing and then finding all the food? Because I actually appreciate that. I was like, this house is gorgeous. You look in the refrigerator and you got all these vegetables. She's like, I know you got snacks somewhere, and she found the pantry. Go ahead,
No.
Go ahead, Tawana.
I mean, I don't. At this point, I just think she's out of her mind.
Right.
Like this is the life she has chosen, and she's just off.
Mm-hmm.
She's off. But maybe she was off before, And I think with her sister's death, that kind of, kicked it up because, she was very quiet. She seemed like the lonely type, um, an introvert,
Right.
maybe, just, I keep to myself, whatever. My sister's my best friend, but something snapped in her when her sister died, and now this is just her life, and this is just her thing. I'm going to kill people who don't like Naja or have mean things to say about Naja, and I'm just going to eat snacks.
And I think I think you're right. I said, oh, you're a full blown serial killer. I felt the same way with the guy, the big guy from the strip club. But this, I mean, this was the introduction to to this episode was her killing him. Like this was the first scene. And I said, oh, now you're a serial killer. Now this is it. This is your life. This is your life now. So I found a picture of this guy, and I said, I got to fight him because honestly, the characters in this show, I felt so bad to what she does to this guy. So let's talk about this. So now she goes to kill this white lady that again, we just talked about it. She tweeted something. It to her is no big deal. She went about her day. She went to the gym. This imperious Karen, white woman. No, she does what she wants to do. She goes to the gym, and then, and again, this speaks to her naivete. Are you really going to kill this woman in the elevator? You were really going to hit this woman with no gloves, no nothing. You're just going to bash this woman over the head. And she's like, "Who's your favorite artist?" And of course, and I felt like this woman did not want to I don't want to accuse her. She's a Black lady, but she's looking me in my face. I feel like you're clearly nervous. You're clearly scared. You clearly want to say something, but she doesn't. And then the guy comes in and he's wearing a staff coat. So what at first, and I didn't get that scene. What did you think about her in this elevator, Mr. Rogers? What did you think about her in this elevator with with the white lady? And I don't have her name.
I got things to say about that, but first I do want to say my favorite episode is the next one, but my favorite scene is her dancing and cleaning up the blood. Like I freaking love that scene. It's so chaotic, it's so messy. It just shows like a whole different side, like her evolution, whatever. It was done brilliantly. The overhead shots, it was just beautiful.
We're going to talk about this too, but my thing is, okay, I understand that's your favorite. I get why that could be your favorite scene because okay, she's evolved into being a serial killer. But my thing in my head, it was like, did you really, all you looked at was his Twitter. What if somebody comes to that house?
Like you're spending plenty of time just you cleaning, you took a shower, you you raided the man's pantry, you went in his car, like she just made herself a home, and it was like, did you watch it? Did you do research on him? Because it's a couple of months later from what happened in Tennessee, so she probably could have been staking him out. She probably had a little more time, a more evolved whatever. But then they show her. Like that's smart, her, right? That'd be very smart. But then they show her in the elevator about to do something in a public space, cameras everywhere. How are you gonna get out of this? Because the moment you do it, it's gonna be loud because you hit her with a blunt object. She's gonna scream or whatever. The elevator's still moving. You didn't hit the stop button on it. You know what I mean? So I thought it was really it's like two different sides of her. And I think that's what a lot of people have an issue with because they can't really get a grasp on how she does things. It's so random, it's so chaotic, and it doesn't make sense when you really think about it. It boils down to it. Because, like I said earlier, staked out the house. You have it. You know that nobody's coming. Whatever. You got to kill somebody in the public gym, a very popular gym at that, like a prestige gym. So. Right. What? It don't make sense. But then you think about it, okay, there's two different stories they're trying to break together. It could have been done a whole lot better. Get that. But we also got to remember she's deranged. Mm-hmm. She's texting herself thinking that she's texting her sister. So she's not gonna make sense all the time.
Right.
And the dude coming in, I mean, I want to know who sent that text message. That's what I want to know. Who sent that text message? That's the only thing about this whole story that I'm like, okay, she never saw the coat before. So why would she say text follow the coat and it's already the message is already sent? Now if it was like in the before you see him, like it was in the text box, like she about to send it to herself, that makes sense. But that's weird. that's the only thing. I would have to go back and watch that episode.
Okay, I my theory. Okay, so you're right. There's parts of it because this was the random. This her in like this was her being safe or her being smart. This the smart. This part with the gloves. That's the only thing that's smart about it. Everything else, she's still spending too much time at that house. But whichever. I'll go with you on that. But then, who sent the text message? I said, is she schizophrenic? I said, is she seeing something? Like, is she like, you have, which is an actual, that's an actual diagnosis and that's something serious as well. But she's evolving into a lot of different things. She knows that jacket, she knows that there's a concert. She knows that Nigel's going to be there. So, and then her dropping the barbell, the dumbbell. So, and then she gets the text message and drops the dumbbell. Go ahead, KB, because I feel like you want to say something. Please say something about this elevator scene and then getting the text message too, because that's really good.
So, the lady is Tommy Lauren, like that white Republican. So like that's who she represents. Yeah. So it was like after Beyonce did the Super Bowl and she was just like, your fans are you have white fans and all this other stuff. Yes.
Yes, I'm so sorry. I couldn't remember her name, but yes, I wrote that down. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes. So it's these people say these things. They live free from consequences, right? And so I worked, my office is in DC, and I actually worked with worked with somebody that was high in the Republican Party on the short list to be Trump's vice president. And that man would mock Trump in the office. And I was just like, you don't say these things on TV, right? But if I pulled my phone out, go do that again, So it's because that's part of the problem with stan culture is these people aren't like that in real life, right? And but to you, it's whatever, I'll say whatever, I'll do whatever. And so, and I just thought, okay, me thinking of Tommy Friends, like, okay, so you're going out and you said whatever reckless thing on Fox News and on Twitter, and then I'll go about my business and go to the gym. I'll go about my business and do this. And now you're alone in an elevator with with this black woman, and you say racist stuff. You do. Like, you say a bunch of reckless stuff. And it's like, don't act scared. Because again, the whole duality of people that say stuff on Twitter and then the stan culture.
Right.
It's like, okay, without her being a deranged stan, you really are just walking around the streets comfortable after you said what you said about whatever topic, right? Yes. And I also kind of got the idea that she was schizophrenic when she got that text message, because I was like, I know Marissa did not text you herself. So where did that come from? But I'm very happy that instead of killing that lady, she followed the jacket.
Right.
And I'm happy she put like 2 and 2 together and just followed that jacket.
Yeah, because she saw the jacket, but she was still gonna kill the lady. She was still doing it. And but she kept looking at the jacket, and then she followed the jacket. I was glad that she did it. And then she just dropped the dumbbell in the elevator. I was like, girl, but so you're right. Let's go back to this a little bit, because people will say what they want to say, just like we were talking about on Twitter, and they'll say all of these things, but you're just going about your day. So they feel like, oh, but so if she were to hit her over the head, or if she were to abuse her, it would be, look at this black woman tried to hurt me. It would be she would have something to say about that. But and then she would say, well, it's free speech. I can say whatever I want to say. But who said it earlier? But this, like you said, the consequences of you saying whatever you want to say and talking reckless is still there. So yeah, so she follows the jacket, and she meets this guy, and I don't, if y'all have his name, please give me his name, because I think this was my favorite scene. But them meeting and their whole meeting, and I was like, please don't kill this man, because then you start to care about these characters, and then hearing his story, and then what happens to him. So what did you guys? And then okay, um, he had a pet. He had a pet skunk. Okay, so I'm sorry. Oh, okay. So this guy had a pet skunk. I'm gonna go to Mr. Rogers first, and then KB. What did you think about this whole her? I mean, her start here, Mr. Rogers. Her breaking into his house, and then him being okay with the break-in. I don't want to say okay with the break-in, but um, yeah, him breaking into her
It,
breaking into the house. Go from that
yeah,
scene.
that one was another case of like her being smart dumb. Like you dumb for just breaking into his house and knowing that he's home, thinking that you can just crawl into the house. But then she was smart enough to say, "Oh, he's coming after me." You know, like so it was. And then the skunk just was so random because I think everybody said it like why skunk, and then she says why skunk. You know, so it's like that again. That's just Donald Glover being Donald Glover, with his weirdness. Like he threw the most weirdest absurd things into his all of his work. So I think that's just Donald Glover. And the dialogue was just crazy. That time, my bitch fine as hell, and I was like, what? like it's just out of left field. But I did like him. I thought it was gonna be one of the moments where because he said what he says. He's like, look at these cute kneecaps. I was like, who says that?
To
Who
me,
says that?
I was okay with the skunk, because to me, I'm like, this guy's character, like he's lonely, everything he's been through. I said, of course, a skunk. Of course, like, or it wouldn't be a random cat or a dog. He would have like some type of squirrel or some type of weird animal as a pet. There
Yeah,
would never be a regular pet for a pet for him.
right.
I knew that was actually, I was like, of course. And then, but she was smart enough to say, I'm running from my neighbor, and then he was picked it up because he's lonely. This poor
Mhm.
guy, he's lonely, and then hearing his story, I was like, yeah, this is you break in. You're smart dumb is a good way to put it. Good way to put it. He's lonely. He's okay. Can we talk about the gluttonous midnight snack? KB, go ahead. For you. Go ahead.
Okay, so that was my favorite scene, oddly enough. That little gluttonous night snack, the way that they filmed that. Yeah, so poor guy, he used to weigh, I think he said 380 pounds. And then he went on this whole extreme diet, basically no sugar, just eats oatmeal and broccoli, essentially, and fast for 16 hours out of the day. And he's like, I can't even have sugar in my house. And even the first time she pulls out the donuts, he was just like, oh. Oh, I did put in my notes. He tried to feed her broccoli, and she just like picked it up with the fork and was just like, nah. So that was interesting to me because one of the themes is her always eating junk food. So when she just couldn't even eat the broccoli, I was like, oh, okay. So no healthy food for you, like none whatsoever. But yeah, with her pulling out the donuts, the Doritos, then she had another bag of chips, and all this she got from that YouTuber's house. Yeah, that was a little chaotic, and I felt I felt bad for the guy because obviously he's just trying to help her, right? Because he's thinking that she's being abused by a boyfriend or something, and he now she's got him breaking his diet and eating all this stuff. But yeah, that whole scene was chaotic, and we all know that he's a victim, and he doesn't know that he's a victim yet. But yeah, she definitely he was already victimized before, but before he even knew it. But it was just really bad.
Yeah, he had 380 pounds. He's totally changed his life around. He's lost all of this weight. His ex-girlfriend was also big, and she died of a heart attack at like 30 or 35. So I was like, man, stay on your diet. Like you've done so well for yourself. And then she gets up in the middle of the night. And honestly, when he first looked at those donuts, I thought, okay, after hearing his story, I said, he looks just disgusted. He doesn't want no parts of it. And then seeing her, and he's not only like lusting over the fast food, but he's also lusting over her. Like he wants connection. He wants not to, thinks she's attractive. So he wants a relationship. So he is a victim in that way too, because he needs something. So so she gets up in the middle of the night because she needs that sugar. So they just have, that was one of my favorite parts in the movie too, is they're just like I said, they're crawling all over each other. I was like, is he gonna kiss her? He's like, well, no, it's just about the food. It's just about the sugar. It's just about the sweets. So, and then I said, oh, he's gonna be a mess in the morning. I just knew I knew it. And and then them waking up in a pile of just massive just crap. I was like, oh, this poor guy. And just hearing him throwing it, I knew that that's how that was going to end. So yeah, so I was like, this poor guy. He knows that he doesn't know he's a victim. He thinks he's found a new relationship. He thinks that he's just kind of interested. He wants that connection. So okay, so now also talk about this, Mr. Rogers, because I want to go back a little bit. She still wants to steal from him. She still wants to get the pass the wrong way. And in my head, because that's just not what I would do. Like you've already like crawled all over each other in this sugary like haze of just sweat and food. Ask the man if you'll be his date for the for the party. Just ask. But no, but mentally, she's already been getting things by stealing and everything. So that's all she knows to do. So
Right.
I think she was even shocked. She was a little bit shocked when he said, "Do you want to go with me?" So go ahead and talk about that, because she just kept looking at the past like it was like food as well. Go ahead.
Yeah, because her motivation never changed. Like it always, her end goal is Niger. It
Yep.
always is. It never changes. It don't matter who comes into her life. What it's gonna be Niger. So in her mindset is like, and then on top of that, nobody's gonna understand her passion for Niger no more than Marissa does. So even if she does ask it, she just think he might mock her or something like that, because that's what she used to, right? She used
Mm-hmm.
to seeing people talk bad about Niger on Twitter. She has to defend Niger in every sense of the way, from the strippers, from the Twitter guy, from anybody. Anybody she had a conversation with about Niger, she has to throw the fact that she has 26 Grammys. She has to throw that like she's a goddess who knows what we're thinking, and she gives it a name, you know. So in her mind, she's like, I'm not even gonna waste my breath. I'm just gonna go ahead and just, I'm in his house. I can get it. I can either go ahead and, get through him or whatever. It just turned out that he was sweet and he was innocent and he didn't really try to take advantage of her. So, but she still have that go with her first instinct of steal it, you know. So, like you said, when he's like, "Oh, you want to come with me? I'll show you around." She's like, "What? Like for real?" And even when they get there, she still takes advantage of him. Like she doesn't even let it develop. She just says, "Oh, let's go this way." you're going to take me. You're going to take me. He was like, hey, okay, whatever.
So you just led into it. That was my next question. I'm going to go to KB afterwards. What did you think about what happened to him? Like how she did him?
I think she spared him. I think she could have easily took him into the freezer and killed him right there and took his pass. But her just pushing him in there, it's a busy venue. It's gonna be people coming in and out. Just like so I don't think he's locked in there. I don't think he died. I think if anything, he devoured that cake. If anything, so he might be feeling bad about himself, and he might be looking for her out there a while. Because I think the man he's gonna be heartbroken for a while. Like he's gonna have trust issues, all kind of things. Like this woman came into my life and it seemed like fate. And she got me to break my diet. We had some good, intimate moments because the condom was on top of the thing, so they did take it all the way. I took her to my job. I thought we was gonna be traveling together, and then she threw me in the freezer and made me eat cake. So he's gonna be. I think if anything, he's just gonna be heartbroken. He's probably gonna change his workout plan to 3 times a day instead of 2 times a day, and he's gonna go. He's living. Cause she definitely could have took him out.
I agree with you though. I think she spared him because I was like, there's people walking by that freezer. Like that hallway, that corridor is not empty. It's not like the after party was shut down. So I said, eventually somebody's gonna see him, hopefully, unless he crawled up in a ball in a gluttonous mass in the corner with that cake, hugged up with that cake. So I said that's the only way that nobody's going to see him. So I was like, she did spare, because I also thought the same thing. I said, just take his pass. Then are you going to push him in there and grab his pass? But she didn't. So I thought that was interesting too. Go ahead, KB. What did you think about that?
Oh yeah, so I thought that he was naive from the start, just to be completely honest, because you have this pass, right? And you're just walking around because he was just walking around at the gym, and I don't know why he had it at the gym, honestly. And I might have missed that part. But in that, when she's at his house, he even said, like, wait, hold on. I'm going to mix this up. First, she says, oh, do you work concerts a lot? And I thought, look, when she brought that up, that was kind of odd. And that should have been his first red flag, but it wasn't. And then he said, oh, yeah, I work, I work with Cachet, and Cachet is supposed to be Naja's husband. And he's like, oh, do you like? And she's like, yeah, I'm a big fan. So again, she's pretending not to be the Naja fan that she is. Says, well, what's your favorite song? The one about drugs. Something should have, an alarm bell. That was a red flag right there. But he missed it. And he invited her down to the concert. And I think that he should have recognized that she wasn't really into him, because again, that whole conversation about Cachet, she clearly was lying about being a fan. Then when they're talking to the coworker about the after party, she's clearly like, yes, let's go. And you can see he doesn't want to go. He's like, it's just a bunch of celebrities, it's this, and I don't want to go. And he's like, okay, I guess I'm going. But you can see that she wants what she can get out of you and not you, really. But he wasn't paying attention. And again, because this is a sympathetic victim now, you do feel bad for him. You feel bad for him that she's making him break his diet. You feel bad for him that he's the one that takes her to the concert. He's really nice to her, takes her in, tries to feed her. She just won't eat the food. Takes her to the concert. And this is what he gets at the end of the day. And so I felt like she did him dirty. I believe I agree with Mr. Rogers that he probably lived because the cake was in there. Like, they were going to come in and get the cake, right? In my mind, I think he probably really did eat it before they came and got it. So now he could lose his job, because that's the other thing. But yeah, like I felt bad for him.
I thought the same thing. I said he is he's gonna be heartbroken for a long time, but if he eats that cake, he's gonna lose his job. And but he can't. But she didn't kill him. She didn't, because honestly, I thought that when she woke up in the middle of the night, this is another scene that they cut that there's going to be blood everywhere. So because she had already evolved into a murderer. But the fact that she spared him, and I also think that he's going to feel like I'm always getting taken advantage of. So, now he's, I said, that diet is gone. That diet, he's back to eating sugary snacks for the rest of his life. Now but I definitely think she spared him unless somebody doesn't come and get him out of that freezer, because she could have definitely killed him before that, and she didn't. So now she goes and she finally sees Nyjah. She finally sees her, and then she's eating all the sugar, y'all. She's eating these pops, these chocolate pops, and then all of a sudden it cuts to the next episode. And so what did you think about that ending episode, and what did you think happened? Go ahead, Mr. Roger. Sorry.
Well, she bitter because she was eating the thing, and I think one of the things I like the transition of it, but I did wish we would have saw more of a reaction from the crowd in front of her, because it was like there was people there. There was Cache there, it was Nyjah there, her sister, everybody, like, and for nobody to see that she got that close to Nyjah and bitter, and then the girl said, "Girl, did you just bite Nyjah?" Like, you obviously seen her, so they just let her go by and everything. I thought it was funny, but like I said, I did want to see more of a reaction from everybody, and it was just because I had no idea that Beyonce got bit in real life until this show, and then people were like, yeah, it was like, for it to be Sanaa Lathan was even funnier to me.
It's even funnier. No, you're right. You're right though. The reaction from the crowd, I was like, wait a minute, what happened? And of course, we see her eating chocolates. And then I said, well, if she bit Nyjah, just like if somebody bit Beyonce, how was she able to get away? Why didn't somebody jump on her and tackle her? So that's the thing that I was like, there's no way she would have been able to run out of there. And I think because it was Sanaa Lathan, or is it because it was another, celebrity, that's the only reason that she was able to, get away. So to me, or able to live another day. So yeah. What did you think about that, KB?
I thought it was weird, but I liked the way that they shot it, because I had to go back and watch that twice. Because the way that they shot that video is she's eating that chocolate, whatever, and then you see flashes of the chin, and then you see flashes of the chocolate and flashes of the chin, and then they're like, "Did you just bite Nyjah?" Now, in real life, no, she would not have gotten out of there. Right. Somebody would have, security, somebody would have stopped the crowd, somebody would have stopped her. And I also think it's interesting because, it was a crowded venue, and people said, the woman said to her, "Did you just bite Nyjah?" And then after that, everyone's like, "Someone bit Nyjah. Who bit Nyjah?" Like, well, people saw her, so it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, but I also thought it was weird that the moment when she meets Nyjah, she just freezes too, right? Because I thought she was going to say something. I thought she was going to say, "Nyjah, I'm your biggest fan. I love you. You're my sister." Or so. It was just, she froze and just stared at her and was weird to Nyjah herself, and then bit her. Mm-hmm. I was expecting something else when she actually finally got to meet her.
That's so funny you say that, because one, I kind of knew, I said, she's such a stan that she's going to freeze. It's like years ago when people would go to concert. I remember a friend of mine went to a concert in high school and she fainted. Like, she fainted as soon as so she didn't see the concert because she fainted because she was so excited. I was like, girl, you fainted? Did that this your favorite group? So to me, I'm like, you did all that for nothing. So I got, she didn't do it for nothing. Drea didn't, but yeah. So now that the girl's right here in front of you, she's paralyzed. She's paralyzed. So You're right. I like the way they shot it, but at the same time, I just like, well, how was she able to get? Nobody even grabbed her and then have her get away, something like that. But she was able to just run out of there, just turn around and run. And also the fact that everybody's walking towards Naija and she's the only one in reverse. I said, y'all. So that's kind of the thing I thought as well. That but yeah, you're right. Everybody's like, wait a minute, did you just bite Naija? And she was able to get away. So I just thought that was interesting too. Um, I wasn't surprised that she wasn't able to say something in first, but I was like, okay, she's gonna after she eats, she's gonna get up her guts, hopefully to say something. I said, no, she's too paralyzed. What did you think of that, Mr. Rogers? Did you think that she would be able to? Did you think she was gonna get bit?
No,
Or
I had no idea she was gonna get bit. Like that I'm usually good at calling stuff. Like I knew she wasn't gonna be able to say anything. Like I was like,
right?
she gonna freeze up. So, and then it was like, these just bit that mine. I said, hold on, whoa, wait a minute, rewind. And then I saw the cheek though, what you were saying, KB,
Mhm.
about the flashing cheeks. I was like, I didn't even catch that in the first watch. Like I just thought she was just basking in the glory of her favorite artist, and then
Yes.
what? So that's one of the things I was like, oh, that is so absurd that I love it.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to do a show like this because you're right. All of those little things, you're right. I didn't. There was a couple of things I didn't catch until I had to watch it a second time. I didn't
Mhm.
catch the flash. I saw her eating the chocolates and devouring it and just lusting over it, just like the bloodlust. That's what. But I
Mhm.
didn't catch those flashes until this. I was like, wait a minute, what happened? So
Mhm.
yeah, you're right. It was those little things, those little nuances, is what makes me like the show. Um, but I didn't catch that in the beginning. So I didn't think that she was going to bite her either. I really didn't. I just didn't. I just thought that she was going to freeze. I said, "You did all of this," and I'm going to say this in the at the end as well. You did all of this, and you still have not met Nigel. You did all of this killing,
Right.
locking this man up in the freezer, and you still are not going to be able to meet her. Like, come on,
Never.
girl. Right. So she's able to get out of there now. She's on the run again.
Mhm.
And now this is right, right? This is
Yeah.
next.
Yeah. That's
Okay,
the
good.
next episode.
Because I knew I did not want to miss that other episode because that one was my favorite. So now she's on the run. This cop, who I actually think that cop was about to attack her. I think that cop was about to do something dirty. What did y'all think? That white cop that stopped her? KB, did you think that cop was actually about to like?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
he was, yeah. I was like, what
What?
hotel you at? And he sees that she's alone, young black girl in the South. I said, this cop is a dirty cop. And he's about to
Okay.
come and get her. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, for sure. It was given sundown town. It was
Right.
very sundown town ish. It was I'm gonna follow her, make sure and know exactly where she's gonna be at, and I'm just gonna pull up on her soon as crack of dawn or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we're talking about is at the beginning of this episode, is this five? This is
Four.
four.
Yeah,
Four.
four.
Episode four, of course, she's getting away. She's on the run again because now she's bit Nija, and she's gone into this town. A cop pulls her over, sundown town, like Mr. Rogers just said, and he's asking her kinds of questions, knowing that she doesn't know, where she's going to be at, where she's staying, and that cop was very sketchy, and that cop was going to follow her and do something to her. And I guess she knew it too, but I was like, oh, this cop is going to be her next victim. I said, okay, cop, you want to do this to her? Go ahead. Go. And this is going to be another one, another person that we couldn't care less about. Okay. She was in Manchester, Tennessee. Thank you, KB. So she pulls over into, but also I said, if you kill this cop, you're for sure. There's no way that they're going to let you get away with this. So some random girl comes up to her in the convenience store. Again, I was like, why do y'all keep coming up to these people? Why do y'all keep coming up to her? But I know, she just looks so nice and sweet and like, oh, she needs help. This girl just comes, oh, she needs help. Let me help her. Then we find out, y'all, it's a cult. It's a cult. or you know, a woman's group, a woman's group. Let me not say cult, but it's a women's group. They specialize in wellness. And what's the abbreviation, KB? I know you probably pulled it. They get their mind and body together. And this is where we meet
I
Billy.
didn't write it down either.
They called it, there was an abbreviation, but and then this is where we meet Billie Eilish, right? So, and again, everybody in this show, the main characters, I think they did really well. I really have to say, I, Mrs. Paris Jackson and Billie Eilish, I think they did really well. But so we meet the other ladies in the women's group. I don't want to keep calling it a cult, but yeah. And so she's there. Of course, she's a little like doesn't know what's going on, but she thinks, okay, well, they're just trying to help me. Then so she meets Billie Eilish and the rest of the girls, and they have good dinner, and they go on these hikes, and they get together. They're trying to get her away from her phone. So, let's talk about this hypnosis section, this hypnosis scene. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
It gave every bit of Get Out, Jordan Peele's Get Out, every bit of it. The snapping, the over and over again, the brainwashing, and I felt like that was intentional. Because it had a white woman talk to a black woman. It was like the gender swap of Get Out, and it was done very well. Because this there was the reason why I love this episode is because the acting chops for both women were top tier. Like it was very it was like Viola Davis talking to Meryl
Michelle
Streep or
Pfeiffer.
something. Like it was like like it seemed like they was in their prime. And for this would be Billie Eilish, I want to say her first role. I
I
was
think it
like,
is.
yo,
Yeah.
I was like, yo, she got it, you know. So um, the teardrop, the her, like, I'm not gonna talk about Marissa. Like, I was like, yo,
Mhm.
I felt that, and that what made me really. I mean, I was already enjoying the show, of course, because I was
Right.
already like, I binge watched it the first day it came out. I was hype about this one, um, and I was like, because I had to go pick up my boys from school at 2:30, right? It was like 2:15. I was like, one more. I didn't leave until 3 o'clock. I was like, I gotta see the end of this one. Like, I gotta see the end of this one. I know I'm gonna be a little further down the car line than usual. They'll be okay because I'm gonna use like the first car there. So,
Right.
um, but it was just so good, and I was just like, and to be honest, this was the one of the more tame episodes. So
It was one of the more tame episodes, but it was very intense. Like
yeah,
I agree
yeah,
with you, the
yeah.
snapping and the camera work with this episode
Mhm.
was very, very good. Go ahead, KB. What did you think about it?
Okay, so I think just in general for the show, the acting was great. My rating was based on the script actually, and just like I said, I think it was just rushed. I think they should have taken some more time with some stuff. This to me was the scariest episode, but it's because of the women, right? Like I wasn't scared of her because we've been seeing her. It's just that cult stuff. I didn't know what they were going to do with her, especially with that snapping where she was saying her name was Kayla, and then they finally got her to say that her name was Dre, and you don't know what she said when she was hypnotized. And the thing that scared me the most about them, I will say this, is the fact that because we didn't touch on the blood in the car, is she had all of that blood in her car. It was in the back seat, it was on the headrest, and the fact that they saw that, didn't blink, didn't say anything, and just cleaned it up. I was like, you are scary. Because I don't know what you are capable of. Because if you don't blink at the sight of her having all that blood in her car, what are you capable of? And I think that was the suspense that was scaring me about that whole group. Because So one, just general, and I know this is a stereotype. Black people, we don't want the problem, so we don't ask questions. You just gotta get out of our face. But they didn't ask questions. They didn't say anything. They were like, "Let's go for a hike." What? No, no, like that. I didn't know what they were capable of when they didn't even blink at the sight of all that blood in the car.
And KB, you said something that's very that also, I don't know if y'all thought about this, but with the hypnotizing of her not knowing what she said, it's like it's implying that they took her phone and all her information in her phone, but it's also a reality where she hypnotized her and she spilled everything to her, and that's even scary in itself because we really don't know how long she was there because she got there at a certain age. She was like, oh, it's a couple weeks, a couple of days to the concert, but that last night, the concert was that concert, so they hypnotized her to the point where she lost track of time, and it was crazy. Like, whew, good episode, great
Yeah,
episode.
no, I totally agree that when she gets up to that car and that blood is gone and they've cleaned everything, I said, "Oh, girl," I said, "What are they gonna do to you?" Like you, I said that I absolutely had that same reaction, KB. I said, "Oh no, there's something else going on here." And I said, "These girls, we don't know how long these girls have been here." They say, "Oh, I just got here." You don't know how long what the time lapse has been. And so it almost like, and you see in this scene right here, like she's hypnotized, but she has like this sense of peace, and she's looking at the fire, and then all of a sudden, like she snaps out of it. She's like, when's the concert?" And she's like, she finally snaps out of it. And you're right. You don't know how long she's been there. She doesn't, she realizes it when the other girl says her real name. And she's like, "You told her my real name?" So you don't, so she's like, "Uh-oh, something else is going on here." So she figures it out. And you're right. Like when she's doing the hypnosis and she's like, "Tell me about your sister." She's like, "No, no, 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 no." She's like, "I'm not talking," but the single tear, just everything. You don't know how many hours, how many days she's been doing that hypnosis thing with the, "Oh, it's a free, she just wants a free session, a therapy session with you. It's no problem. It's just one time. Don't worry about it." And you're like, "Oh, wait a minute." You're right. That was the scary. And I said, "How are they? Is she going to kill all of them?" I said, they're somebody's gonna miss these white girls. Like, what are you doing?" Like, so I said, "Is she?" And also, that's another thing. I wasn't sure how that they were going to die either. I said, "Is she just going to kill Billie Eilish in this hypnosis in her room, or is she going to and run and leave?" Like, I wasn't sure how everything was going to go down. So when she realizes that the concert is that night, and she realizes that what's happened, I said something, and then one of the other scarier scenes, KB, is when that the last part when she's in the car and the four girls are in front of her. I said, "Oh, she's gonna mow them down." Something, that was out of another movie. Was that out of Get Out too? When all the girls are in and they're all in these similar colored outfits. I said, "Oh Lord, what is what's happening here?" Um, and then of course she runs over Billie Eilish and then she backs up. And I said, "Oh no, she's gonna go for another hit." I knew it. I knew that she's gonna play bowling ball, that girl was a bowling pin. Yeah. So, and I also feel like all these ladies were hypnotized. The girl was on the roof of her car, and while she drove out of the thing. So what did you guys think about this last scene where she's hypnotized right here in the killing scene? Go ahead, Mr. Roger. Sorry.
Okay. I feel like she, if in some way, shape, or form, it might sound like a little weird, but she, like I said, she was finally at peace, and she wasn't, for the first time in her life, maybe since she was a kid, she wasn't thinking about Niger. Like she wasn't thinking about Niger, she wasn't thinking about Marissa. She didn't have her phone, and it was a peaceful moment. But when she heard Dre, everything came flushing back to her, and that why it was such a moment
Yeah,
her.
like I know that, right.
So it and it was just like instant anger just rushed her, instant despisement, and she was like, and she could hear the song playing, like her favorite song at that. I wouldn't say it was her favorite song. Her favorite Niger song is playing. She's performing it, and she just snaps. It was like, no, no, I told y'all, I told y'all I can't miss Niger.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like you said. It was an instant. She snapped out of it, and everything came rushing back to her. And then she kills the girl, like you said. Did that? Somebody said that hitting her up against their head like that. And then she kept going and kept going, and kept hitting her and kept hitting her, and the blood all over her. And that's how that fed her. That fed her. But then I said, "There's no cars. There nobody's calling the police." Well, they are a cult. Why didn't? There's no blue lights. They are a cult, so they want to keep it to themselves. But that's their leader, though. She's their leader. So, hey KB, hey Kimberly. So yeah, the fact that she was able to kill her, change her clothes, and then head to the concert. What did y'all think about that? That she was able to go. She was able to head to the concert. Go ahead, KB.
Well, Miss Rogers made me think of something. I think part of why she was at peace, and we get into this later on in episode 6, is because she was finally accepted, right? So there was somewhat of a family that she had. But the problem is that despite her actually having a family, her number one priority was Naija. And so once, she heard her name, her real name, and then snapped out of it, and then heard the music, and again with them gaslighting her, being like, "I don't hear any music. Nobody hears music. What are you talking?" Like, you hear the music. You know what I'm talking about. And she's now realizing that they completely lied to her, because the whole time they're talking about, "Oh, we're going to get you a backstage pass, and we'll make sure you get to the concert," and all. Yeah. But yes, with her being able to somehow change and go, I honestly didn't even take time to think about it. But now that I am thinking about it, knowing that there was that music festival and there were probably a million people probably weren't even paying attention to her. Because it's easy to kind of hide in a bit, when there's festivals like that and there's just a large group of people.
Yeah. You're right. It's easy to hide, but then by the time she got there, the concert was over.
Yeah.
Right. By the time she got there, because they had kept her from seeing Naija, that she'd done all this, and then she was like, "What time is it? I gotta go. What's today?" You're right. We don't know how long she's been there, and you're right. That her walking. Don't you guys hear the music? Don't you hear something? I don't hear anything. I don't hear anything. Whew, that was a trippy episode. That was, yeah. By the time she got there, everything was gone. Everything was done, and that broke her heart again. She's done all this and she still can't get to Naija.
And from my
Okay.
understanding, that was supposed to be Coachella. Um, with Beyonce closed at Coachella, so it was like you missed one of the greatest performances of Nigel's career. So it was like, what? It's
Yes.
even worse.
She was devastated, and also now she's without that phone. She's without her final connection. And yes, she's been texting herself. She's been texting Marissa, and she's answering her own text messages, but still, that's that connection that she needs. Now she's lost the one phone, and the other phone is broken. So no, does she have?
I think she get her phone back, but it's broke. It gets shattered. That's on the next episode. She go to the
Right.
to the store to try and get it turned back on.
But she only has one phone. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you a question because this part confused me. So I want both of your thoughts about this.
Okay.
Because this is after she bit Naija, right?
Right.
And so I'm like, do you not think that Naija's, and I guess I know that she's not in her right mind, but do you not think that Naija's going to recognize you as the person that bit her when you come see her? That was the part that was like, you're trying to meet her again. And the last time you bit her.
She was gonna
Go
recognize it. She was gonna be like, that's why she was like, I gotta apologize. I gotta apologize. We're friends. And I was like, no, you are so deranged, but okay, sweet child.
But to her, even if she does recognize her, she doesn't care. You know, it's just like her going in, just walking up to places and they say, well, let me see your ID. She just thinks she can walk up to some place and say, I can't, I've lost my tickets. Or they'll be able to give it to her. She's just not in her right mindset that it'll be okay. Like to me, or I was like, wouldn't security stop you and say, or have you on some type of watch list or something? Like, don't let this girl in. No, it doesn't work that way. So in her mind, she's got to get to Nyjah no matter what. So, and let me go back because I was trying to find a picture of Leon with this shotgun, and I could not find a picture of Leon with this shotgun. I was like, the young Jackson. I was like, where is he? Young Harris Jackson. I was typing everything in. And but I want to go back because the scene before it was the trip, and it also what we touched on earlier about her in this fantasy. She is totally, so she sees the girl that they were working with, that her and Marissa were working with, and the girl's now got a tattoo of Marissa on above her heart, and the girls had a baby by Marissa's brother, or no, Khalid's brother. Somebody. It was Khalid's brother, and she tells her a story. So the girl's like happy to see her. So okay, and also the amount of time that's gone by, isn't it 2 years? Isn't it August 2018 at this point?
May 2018.
Yeah. 2018.
Okay, May 2018. Okay, so she's at this point. So now she sits and she says, well, what have you been up to? You know, you had to leave. I had a child. What have you been up to? And she tells this story of meeting Nyjah, and I finally got to be a makeup artist like Marissa, and I've done all of this. And then you see her just start crying. Okay, y'all, what did you think of that whole scene with her and the ex manager from the store?
I can start. I think the manager recognized that she was crazy.
Yeah.
And was just like, bless you. Good. I'm happy you're okay. You know? And just kind of wanted to leave. But I will say I'm happy that they had the interaction that they had, because that manager didn't like her at the beginning, and she was nasty. And even in that first scene that you see the manager, where she's like, oh, we're going to this party, and he told me to bring all my cute friends. And Dre says, well, can I go? And she's like, but I caught that the first thing he said was bring my cute friends. And that did not mean Dre, right? So with her sitting down and talking to her and just being somewhat kind to her, I felt like that was good. So that was a nice way to wrap up the story of that manager. But I think she knew. Well, I mean, obviously, it was obvious that she was lying, that she made it up. Her and Nyjah are not best friends, and you went away, and you are the same.
She absolutely knew she was lying. I was like, this poor girl, like and she was like, oh, how nice for you. Like she knew, because she had created this whole scenario, this whole fantasy in her head. And she needed that. And that's why the manager let it go. And she was like, that's great for you. I'm happy for you. And because she knew that she was lying. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers. What were you going to say?
Yeah, not only that, she kind of like fed into it a little bit so she wouldn't get like attacked just in case she tried to call her out on it, whatever. She was just like, oh my God, that was such amazing. And I was like, but again, I can't praise her enough. The acting, the dialogue, the monologue was really, really good. So, just Because when she ran up and hugged her, I was like, bitch, get off her. Like, like I was protective of Dre. I'm like, yo, you was mad at my
You
girl for
like
the
her.
jump. Like,
You know you don't
like,
like Drea. Stop. Right. You hate this girl, but you were all over her. And yeah, I agree with you. I was like, you don't like her. Stop it. But
you had a baby and had to change her heart now. So.
exactly. Now that she's had a baby, now that she's got a tattoo of Drea over her chest, I was like, you don't
Seriously,
like
yeah.
her. You don't like
Like they were
her.
so close, you know.
Yeah, that whole scene, and I like that girl's her because she was believable. She was
hmm
believable. Yeah, she was believable as the manager and just her whole character. I really liked her, but you're right. I was kind of protective over her because I was like, this girl, and she was going through something. She knew she was going through something, so she was just like, oh, that's great for you. I'm gonna just let this go right here.
So,
So,
on top of that, she fired Marissa that night for
mhm.
something that ain't really had nothing. It wasn't their fault. she
It wasn't
fired
her
Marissa.
fault.
So,
But to me, I'm like, girl, she left, but that's her. I'm just not surprised that she went off with Khalid though. Khalid,
yeah,
because and so they got robbed, they got vandalized,
got
and
vandalized.
yeah, she was supposed to be watching the store and she didn't, so she got fired. So and then I was like, this girl don't like her. Why are you? But she's hugging
Yeah,
her like, yeah.
right.
So okay, so she breaks into the house. She breaks in, y'all. She broke into this house into the Jacksons, Harris Jackson and Patricia Jackson's house. Um, what did you think of that scene? Which okay, so I was like, wait a minute, where is she? Because we know that their last name is Jackson, but we hadn't seen the house, we hadn't seen the parents this whole time. And then she goes and she finally remembers that there's a spare key in the yacht or in the boat. So she breaks into the house, but uh she's trying to get access to the phone. She needs that phone back on. And she knows that Harris Jackson got the phone turned off and the number's going to be redirected. So now she's in the house just hanging out until they get home. Uh, One, I would ask, what did you think of the mom? What did you think of Patricia Jackson, the young Patricia Jackson? Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Stone Cold for one. Like she was like, I don't even care. Like what? I knew you was here somehow. I knew you was gonna show up eventually, and I ain't got nothing to do with this. That between you and my husband. It was like, bro, like why are y'all so cold towards her? Like it didn't make any sense. And then you find out that the picture was folded, like she was actually living there, like it was her adopted sister. They are adopted sisters, and he was just like, I had a I wouldn't get on Leon yet, but stone cold and just fed up. And I was like, that just, and we wonder why Dre acts the way she does. It's like, if you had foster parents like this to a point where they give up on you so quick and so easy, you might be going to turn out crazy too, especially if you had a traumatic childhood.
Go ahead, KB, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I feel like the mom was super cold. They said 2 years later, and they are still blaming her for the daughter's death. And, like I said in episode 1, it was very clear that Marissa had a life that they didn't know about. But I think that they already didn't like Dre. And so they just added this to the things that Dre did, right? It was just, we don't like Dre. So she was their target for who they blamed for Marissa's death, just like Khalid was Dre's target, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or I should say scapegoat, right? So she was the scapegoat for Marissa's death. But yeah, the mom was cold. And when they were saying that they were sisters, it never really clicked that they were sisters. I thought they were play sisters, right? Until this episode. And then in the episode after this, when we talk about it, it didn't really click. But to think that that was a child that was in your house and that's how you just, because you didn't want her at the funeral, she comes back to the house and this is how you treat her. Like they really threw that girl away.
Right. There's
And
so much. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was done. I was like, they just threw her away, and that was tough. And Miss Rogers' right. It's like if that happens to you, how else are you supposed to end up?
How else are you supposed to end up when I wrote down, why is this mother so stoic? Like, she literally, the girl comes up to you with a gun in her hand, and she says, Andrea. And she says, he's upstairs. Turn the phone back on. I don't have nothing to do with that. This girl's got a gun aimed at your stomach. I was just like, but I get it, knowing him now after seeing Leon. I was just like, that was very interesting to me. And then Leon comes with a shotgun, and to me, I was like, girl, there's guns all over this house. That's not the only gun he has. So he comes with the shotgun, and he would have killed her and not thought anything about it. And then of course she jumps out the window, but her coming up to the attic and then hitting herself and just punching herself and just needing to just feel that, I was like, wow, they put this girl through a lot. And when Leon started talking and drinking that whiskey, I said, you really did basically just throw this girl away, and you blamed her for everything. You blamed her for everything. And you just treated her like, not even like a stepchild, like just not even like a stepchild, like whatever. It was very, it was just sad, but I just feel like there was more to it. Of course, there was, and we'll get into the next episode soon, but I was like, wow, you cared nothing for this girl. You just really basically threw her away. Yeah, it was very interesting. Yeah. And I think this is the only episode that she didn't kill anyone as well.
Yeah. I was wanting, before we move on to the next episode, because I had to look up the name. That scene with Ricky Thompson at the phone store where she's trying to actually get the phone on, and he was just like, this feels sketchy. I'm gonna ask you to leave. That was funny.
When he came on screen, I said, "Oh, that's my boy."
Yeah. I found pictures of him at the premiere, but I was like, no, I want pictures of her talking to him. That was so good. That was so good. I loved that because he was like I was like, girl, this man is trying to help you. I was like, you are not going to get anywhere with this $200. And I was just like, oh, he is so good. Yes, I loved it. I said, and this is another thing. I was like, she just walks out. I said, okay, that was his scene. That was his scene and everything. But I was like, this is a murderer. Did she hit him over the head and knock him? Is he in the back room somewhere? But I'm sure, like, I was like, she didn't kill him. I said, no, he lived another day. I know. But I was like, this feels sketchy on second thought. And he was like, I'll call Mr. Jackson for you. I was like, he was great. Yeah. He was great. I'm telling you, all the characters were so good in this. Yeah.
Yes, everyone acted really well. But and even the beginning of his scene, he's watching this fake Ellen interview where they're talking about Nigel getting bit.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was good too. I like the fake Ellen, the parodies of all the different people.
Yeah.
Sidebar, I would love to do something like that. Just go like build a set. It could be like a 5-minute scene. I'd love to do it.
Okay. I might have to write something for you then, Mr. Rogers. I might have to write something for you. I'm in the lab as we speak. So yeah, I loved his scene and her. So okay, you guys, when she sees all of the I actually thought but then this is the attic. So we're going to be going into the next scene in a second, or the next episode in a second, but she's in the attic, but we also have the vanity, and we have everything. I was like, is she in Marissa's room? I thought she was in Marissa's room. Is that her room? Because remember, they kept her in the attic.
Yeah, That's hard to explain, to be honest with you. Because like we learned in the next episode, they kept her in the attic, and that's where they pretty much told her to stay. So if anything, if and they said they didn't touch it, like out there, she left. They left it how it is and everything. So if anything, she's been obsessed with Marissa as long as she's been obsessed with Nigel.
Mhm.
So that's how I was looking at it. Because like she's the good child, and especially when you have the parenting style of one person does everything, the discipline, the money, all that stuff, and the other person just sits stoic and don't say
Right.
anything. That relationship that the Jacksons have, the mom is just the mom. She's just there. She does what her husband says and that's like that. He ran everything. He did everything. So she had a cold mom and then she had a evil step dad towards her, and the only thing that she had was Nigel and Marissa. So it makes sense that, especially I'm skipping ahead just a little bit, at the end of episode 7, that's who she see combined in her little vision or whatever. So she's obsessed with Nigel and Marissa, and that was her little shrine to both of them.
That makes sense. That makes sense to why I mean, she would be punching herself if it was Nija, but the if she's obsessed with Marissa too, or of course, and we know that she is, that that's her shrine to Marissa and her shrine to Nija, and she doesn't have either, but now she's missing Nija or missing Marissa so much and then she starts punching herself. Ooh, yeah, that was a lot. And then she jumps out the window, and that's another thing. I was like, you can hear the shots for miles and miles around. And so that one part when she's hopping down the road and you see neighbors coming out from everywhere, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But where are the cops? But okay, I'm gonna give you that one. That one I'm gonna give you.
I mean, but it's Texas though, right? So it's like they have that. He was like, I have the right to shoot you dead right now.
Right. That one I was like, it's Houston. It's Houston. He probably shoots that gun he's been waiting for her. He's been waiting for her. So y'all, and there's a couple of other pictures. Oh, I do have the picture of the one girl that they made with the cornrows. But okay, so I had to watch this episode twice because I was like, what the heck is going on here? One, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna have Mr. Rogers take this because she's not even in this episode, right? We're now investigating the serial killer. We're now talking to Loretta Green, um, who is the detective in charge of the case. And she gets to the bottom of it. She has her whole board, and she's like, "You guys." And so there were other kills that weren't focused on. And I said, "Oh, wait a minute, what is happening here? Who's Tiffany?" It was
Who's
Tiffany
Jason?
Long,
Yeah.
Dorothy Day. One victim is Tiffany Long in Nashville. Another one is Dorothy Day is another victim. And then they even talked to some stands. And the stand, of course, was wearing some Ivy Park. And then Harris Jackson and Patricia Jackson. And I was like, what is happening here? So I figured it out after I watched it the second time. But and then they talked to Khalib's brother, and he said Khalib died a week after Marissa. And then of course the detective went all the way back and then talked to Patricia Jackson, and then went to DFS, and talked to a woman at the Department of Children's Services, and we get some more insight. So, Mr. Rogers, take this away because this was a trip to me, but I figured it out.
I mean, for what I figured out, from how I took it when I watched it, I was first of all, I think I was like you. I was bored. I was like, wait a minute, these are not the same people. These are extra people we see in the Patricia Jackson. These are not the actors that we're seeing. And then at the end of the episode, they have the interview with Donald Glover, and he was like, "Yeah, I'm working on this real life series of events that happened." I was like, "Oh, so this was all real." So that's where like really like blew my mind or whatever. So it was like, so basically they're shining a light on real life murders that happen across the country. Um, these are real victims. They had these real Twitter beefs. Uh, I'm not too sure how real the Khaled and his brother scene was. I think that was thrown in for our benefits. I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Um, like as far as like them being the real people is what I'm saying. But then they showed us what happens at the real what really happened at the end of episode 7 before we get there, and they just wanted to tie it to this one character to make the story more cohesive and more like a story, like somebody to put a face to all these murders, basically.
Mhm.
And I thought it was done pretty well. It blew my mind. And then the mockumentary style was just Donald Glover doing Donald Glover things again, where he has like this big production company of this fake detective, this fake person doing all this stuff, because they even gave her the last name as
Patricia Green
Drake.
or
So
Loretta
it's
Green.
Loretta Green, Drake Green. So it's a theory that there was her daughter that she put up for adoption, and then she's investigating her own daughter. And I was just like, that might be a little reach, but at the same time, anything's possible.
Now, I did think that that was really interesting because she did say, she's like, well, what if she is related to me? Why am I so attached to this girl? What is it about her that, and I didn't think that she gave it for adoption, but I just thought there is something here going on with this lady, that they are related in some way that has not been explained yet. But I think that there's something going on there. So, and the second time after watching it the second time, we realized that that's the older Patricia Jackson, and older Leon's character, older Harris Jackson. And then we find out, well, Harris, he kept her in the attic, and Harris just didn't understand. That was his original. I mean, Marissa was his daughter, and they wanted a second daughter. They wanted her to have a sister, so they brought on this girl to be her sister. But she was just different, and Harris didn't understand how they could have be different like this. So, but I was like, gosh, he really basically treated her horribly. But I want to go back to the biting. We didn't talk about this biting. We didn't talk about the sleepover. So it was this whole scenario, you guys, that what's her name, Drea. She wanted, she was needing, she was lonely. She was the adopted daughter, right? And her and Marissa were friends and everything. But now she's got all the white friends, and she wants to fit in, and she's lonely. And they kept saying everything was fine until the sleepover. Everything was fine until the sleepover. What did you think, KB, about the sleepover? What happened with the sleepover, this whole scenario, and then the cutting? Go ahead.
Well, clearly everything wasn't fine before the sleepover. They just brushed everything under the rug. I feel like that's part of their MO. And so we also did talk about the brother, how they lost their son after the 6 days. And so they themselves and their own background just were not okay, right? So they lose their son, and he only was alive for 6 days. He was Harris Jackson Jr., and they have these shrines up for the son, but they still have Marissa. And then they adopt this daughter. And I think in this episode, they said something, if I remember correctly, about them having some money trouble, but they were getting money because they were able to foster her too.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we missed that part. Okay, that's what I wrote down. Leon said that. That's what I was getting at. He's standing right there with that shotgun and that bottle of whiskey, and he says, "There you are, a check at the door." So go ahead. Sorry, KB.
Yeah, so I think they were not okay. And I think there's this thing where in their mind, she was just supposed to be completely grateful that they even took her in, but clearly you can see that they treated her horribly, right? And when we're talking about this sleepover, so we're talking about the sleepover. At some point, I want to go back to when they go meet with that social worker. But yeah, when they have a sleepover, in Dre's mind, her big thing is she needs to protect Marissa. And I think Marissa, she's so close to Marissa because Marissa's the one that actually takes the time to get to know her. Marissa actually cares. Marissa is somebody that she can confide in, right? And the idea of the sleepover is whoever sleeps first, something happens to them. That's kind of like a thing that happens at sleepovers. And so when she sees these other girls doing something to Marissa, she's protecting her. So in her mind, she was protecting Marissa. She wasn't doing anything wrong. And that's when she, quote unquote, spills the milk, and the milk being red. But in her mind, she was protecting Marissa. You look like you were going to say something.
No, in her mind, she was protecting Marissa, and she doesn't know all of these things about sleepovers. She doesn't know like fun games that people play and stuff like that. So in her mind, all she's doing is protecting Marissa. But they got that's when they got, I don't want to say got rid of her, but that's when they took her back to foster care or to the agency. So from 5th grade up until what were they in high school? Was they 16 or 17? And then the white girl said, the cheerleader, she was like, I didn't know that you could just get rid of a child like that.
Right.
So yeah. I'm gonna get to that. Go ahead.
I think the spilled milk was before she got adopted because she was saying something about her grandmother. So in the she pretty much almost broke the girl's neck or burnt her or something like that. With the grandma, it was something that they never disclosed. They just said that was her first time missing Naja. She had spilled the milk and it was red, and her grandmother was just crying, saying, "What did you do?" So it's implying that she might have like killed her mother or somebody, and then they put her up for adoption. And that's when Leon was saying they made a deal with the devil because I think they knew about her past. That's why they treated her like that off top. So I mean, and then that's why the social worker got so upset when they were trying to dig into it because she was just like, "No, I'm not gonna talk about her past, and y'all should be ashamed of yourself." But it's still, terrible parenting.
So let's get into that because you're right. So Leon did say that. He said, we made a deal with the devil, but when you go, I want to get into the social worker because the social worker, she said a lot in the span of 2 minutes that she was trying not to say, or that she knew all of this history, but she was trying not to say it. So she said that she watched her mother die right in front of her, and what was it that she was abused or she was touched as a child. She watched her mother die right in front of her, and she was lonely and sad. And what do you want me? Do you want me to tell you all of those things? And I said that. Well, that's the answer right there. She watched her mother die right in front of her. And so my thing is also, she said, when this happened with Marissa and attacking the girls, she said, I didn't mean to spill the milk. I didn't mean to spill the milk. That is related to whatever happened with her mother or whatever happened before she got put into foster care. We know that. I was like, yeah, whatever this girl dealt with before she got adopted, it's now affecting her. And then I keep wanting to say Leon, Harris Jackson's character he exasperated it by putting her in an attic, and now she's alone and everything else that's happening. But that social worker, that whole interaction, I liked that interaction too, because you've got the social worker and you got that the
Cameraman.
reporter, the cameraman, and she and this detective, I feel like she wanted to be on camera. Like, this is her big break. She was like,
Mhm.
I
I don't
really
miss
like. Good.
it.
What did
So
she
she was like,
say?
I don't miss a thing.
I don't miss a thing. And she said, listen, let me do all the talking. You go ahead and be quiet. And maybe I'll let you say something. Like, this was her big break. She was enjoying this so much. She was enjoying this so much. So, y'all, what did you guys think about that interaction with the social worker? Go ahead,
And
KB.
I so I felt like, obviously the detective was trying to go soft on the social worker and trying to befriend her, trying to get information, right? I know the cameraman messed up because as soon as he started speaking, it felt more like an attack, and they were trying to get this kind of gotcha. Like, what are you trying to hide? Um, but again, I feel like the social worker is right. Like, social workers have a hard job. They have to really try to take care of these kids and place them and match them and do the best that they can for these kids. And what do you do? And in this situation, it was just really tough. It was just really tough for them, or for her, to try to like place this girl that's been through all this stuff. She's older, because let's be realistic about foster care for a second. It's a older Black girl that kind of needs to be placed, and that's really tough. And I think the social worker is doing her best. And it's hard when you're trying to paint the story of this one girl, because it then kind of could be perceived as a cautionary tale to try to foster any child. I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah. Can you hear me? So I don't know.
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Yeah, I had hit the pause. I didn't know if I did that or not. But yeah, the whole interaction was just, it was very tense because for one, we as viewers, we would have known the answer too. Like you better spill the tea, social worker, because we need to know. We've been watching. We got 5 episodes invested into this. We need to know. And but at the same time, we got to understand that you're not supposed to spill that information unless you have like it's a warrant or something like that, or legally. So it's what I'm sitting here looking like, yo, what is this mystery? What is this big thing that happened in her past that get her like this? And what I notice a lot of writers do is they love to have that mystery left for interpretation. Um, they was like, half the fun is trying to figure it out on your own instead of having it just, somebody does a long monologue explaining everything. So that what the fan theories come in the story. So I loved it, but I hated it at the same time. I was like, okay, you're doing your job, okay, but I still want to know. So I'm gonna have my theory that she killed her mama.
Yeah.
I
I was, go ahead, KB.
was going to add, just calling back to the evidence thing. This is the part, and I know with the fingerprints, like your fingerprints actually have to be in the system. But if they had taken because she was just like, oh, I saw the food is here, this is here, if there were fingerprints, it would have been in the database, and then you would have matched the fingerprints
As
at
a foster care
FECs.
person.
No, not to her, but it would just be this fingerprint is at this scene and it's at this scene.
Oh, I got
And
you.
it's in this car. But because that was never connected, not necessarily saying it's to her, it's just these same fingerprints are here, 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 and on all these stolen cars. And
Mm.
and we're watching this detective, and she's so smart and she does everything. It's like, well,
Why
you
did
haven't gone in the National Registry to see that it's the same fingerprints. It's these cars. Because when you have a car, like especially because in the last episode we know that she's stealing all these cars.
Mhm.
That goes in a national registry, right? So it's not because you have to look all throughout the US. And so like you just never put two and two together. And then all you would have to do was get a sample of her fingerprints.
Right.
But you just didn't even, all you have is the food.
But then
Right.
also fingerprints on the refrigerator. And my next question is, when she was in the at defects adoption, they didn't take her fingerprints then, right? But they would have had to have her fingerprints at some point. They, like you said, they would have had to have her fingerprints like on the refrigerator, in that man's bathroom. They would have had to have her fingerprints at some point in the man's shower, the random Twitter guy.
On that skillet.
Yeah, I will say this about whenever something involves like a kid, like family court and stuff, that goes separate. So if you go into a court system and there's like a criminal, like I could walk up into a criminal court and I'll be fine, right? I've been to the family court once before for one of my clients, and that is secure even for attorneys, right? So it's just like you have no business being here. If I wanted to go into a courthouse for somebody's traffic ticket, oh sure, come on in, sit down. You want to do like for family court, everything is sealed because you have to protect the safety of the children.
Right.
So you can't even, I could see a court docket for criminal. I could see traffic, civil, whatever. Those kids, everything is under seal. So you really would need a warrant for that. So even if she did get fingerprinted as a kid, they probably wouldn't even release it.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Well, this episode was a trip to me because, okay, question. Do y'all think that this episode should have been the last episode with the detective and not episode 6?
It does feel out of place.
Okay. I was like, why is this episode 6? And then, of course, it goes to, we know what happens in episode 7. We're going to get into it. What did you think, KB?
Yeah, it felt out of place. It felt out of order. It took me a while to realize that it wasn't real, especially when you're seeing pictures of people and you're talking to people that you didn't see before. And then you get the update that Harris Jackson passed away. It took me a little while. I knew the detective was fake, but then seeing Patricia, what's her name, Green now? Patricia Green, and you're just like, wait a minute, what is this real? Is this fake? Yeah.
What's the time lapse? Because you have Leon, and now Leon, what was he, like 40? And now this man's obviously 60 or 70 or 80, that just passed away.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's the time lapse? So, and then you've got two dead that we didn't see, Tiffany Long and Dorothy Day. Because I was like, wait a minute, is Tiffany Haley's character when she was younger? I was so confused. I was like, because we only saw her kill one white girl. I am so, and I knew that it wasn't. I said, so Loretta, I said, okay, she's just a detective investigating a killing. Like that's just what Tiffany is. And then the second killing with Dorothy Day, I said, oh no. She is investigating Andrea. She figures out, no, this is the same girl. This is a Black female serial killer. But I was like, the time lapse, everything, it just seemed so out of place. Yeah. And now we hear more of information from Patricia Green because, of course, Harris Green is dead. And the mother, although she seemed really like one of the meek, the Black man leads in the household. That's how I got it. And now that we're seeing the older Patricia, I just got that feeling. Whereas the first time we meet Patricia, I was like, why is she just so like stoic and just like cold? That's what I got. One character played it very stoic and cold, and then the older woman she just played it as, I'm his helpmate. You know what I mean? And she just played it in a different way to me. That's how I took it. What did you guys think of just the time lapses and everything from in season or not season, episode 6? Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
I think how I look at it from 6, I didn't look at it more of like a time lapse. I look at it more like a dramatization like how you would watch any type of thing on ID channel, where you have these actors, like the fake pictures and everything. Like everything was just dramatized for the documentary's sake. That's how I took it. To these to the real life murders of these people, and how the show is telling you how we're putting this all to Dre,
Yeah.
versus in real life these are all done by different people, different
Right.
fans and stuff like that. So it was just to show way they got some other actors to play the Jacksons. They got some other
Mhm.
actors to play Khaled and all them, and it was just like, okay, well, this is our way of telling the audience that these are real. These are real. These are real birds, but we're still doing it in a way of connecting it to Dre, if that makes
Okay.
sense.
Well, no. And what's funny is I'm glad you said that because I got that with I'm like seeing all the other pictures. I got that with seeing these pictures and seeing the pictures of
Mhm.
Drea with the cornrows, and of course seeing the picture of Khalid, which we know that that's not Damson Idris. I knew that that's not Khalid, so I got that part. But then when now you're just saying this with the Harrises, I was like, that doesn't make any. So, and I was talking to a good friend of mine. She was like, wait a minute, is this her original parents, the first adopted parents, and then that's the second? So that part, this part here, like I was like, why would they do that part? Why would they do that? But these are just actors, these are just the same as these are actresses. I got that now. It didn't make any sense to me as far as the time the time lapse. But the other guys, Damson Idris is the Khalid's brother. All of the other parts I made total sense. And then the girls, the strippers, the newsreel of the strippers, all of that made
Mhm.
total sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, y'all. Y'all, we're ready to go into this last episode. We got to okay. So I want to set the scene for you a little bit. It's been a long time since she's had her phone. I really want to phrase that when we go into this last episode, because now it's almost like she's still stealing the cars, and she's still, she's still on the run, of course, but it's been some time since she's had her phone. Do you think that that's why she was able to at least move on a little bit, or make this connection with Rashida? Go ahead. Let's talk about this, because so she sees Rashida outside of a club. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
I want to first say this episode was the most clear proof that we have that each episode was like a different person doing the murder, because she changed her whole entire style up, and it's been subtle in the other episodes, like maybe a different hairstyle, maybe a different way she wear clothes, her actions, like I was saying, like how she was dancing in the big house versus the stripper, where she was very awkward and everything. This is a totally different person. This is a member of the LGBT. I can't even say it right now. I'm talking too fast.
LGBTQIA.
LGBTQI community, and she's full out, stud and clear motivations. But you're right. This is the longest she had her phone. She didn't have her phone. She's actually not on a mission to see Niger. She's actually just chilling out for some reason. At first, I thought she was staking the girl out for some reason. Like maybe this is a new obsession. But then you see that she's still buying Niger tickets, so she still has that mindset. I just don't. The only this is probably the second one that I'm probably like confused on, like the motivation wise, like. You live in your car. You're on the run. Why are you trying to get into a full out relationship? So that's why I thought she was taking her out at first. But no, she really just tried to get into a relationship with this girl just to be in a relationship with her. And it was just even more so episode 6, this one seems more out of place. And this is probably why I wouldn't give this season like a perfect score or everything, because this episode, because not only is it the most confusing, it's the most tragic one for me. is the most heartbreaking one for me. I like that girl. That girl ain't had nothing to do with this. She was
Ooh,
naive
interesting.
too, but she had nothing to do with this.
Go ahead, KB. I have a lot to say about that. Go ahead, KB.
Yeah, no, that's interesting that you said that because this one actually, her getting in that relationship made sense to me after episode 6 because you see how she was basically alienated. Like what she's looking for is love, right? Love and acceptance. And that's what she got in Rashida, right? So she just accepted her, and then even her family accepted her too. And so it was like, you are safe here and you don't have to be ashamed. Even in that first night where she got her period, right? And she was like, you don't have to be ashamed about it. It's fine. Don't worry about it, and you can see that she was loving and accepting of her. And so because in the last episode we see how bad her life was before, it makes sense that she would want to stay with someone that would take care of her, right? And that would be willing to accept her and show her love and be her family. The thing that did seem out of place though was that Rashida did not like Nija. And that was something that did seem out of place though. Crystal, you look like you want to say something.
Go ahead. I wanted you to finish that. So that was okay.
Yeah, that was
So
the out of place thing for me.
that was the out of place thing for you. So I actually think I agree with KB in this is the longest time she's been without her phone, so she doesn't have that connection to Twitter, to Nija, to Marissa. So now she can think, oh wow, maybe I don't have maybe I can find love and I don't have to be a killer. Actually, the name of the episode is Only God Makes Happy Endings. So she's like, oh well, and she's actually surprised. She's like, I can actually have somebody that cares about me and I can make a connection with a family. Like that whole interaction with her and Cree Summer, Rashida's mother, this woman's actually hugging me and caring about me and like showing me comfort and compassion. She doesn't even know how to take it. She doesn't know what to say. You know what I mean? So that this episode made sense to me too, because she was standing out there outside of the club. I was like, okay, is she a Lyft driver now? But then no, because if she's a Lyft driver, then she's gonna have to put, her information somewhere. So she stole that car just to stake it out, just to stake out the club and stuff like that. And then she meets this girl, and this girl actually tells her she loves her. But I did talk going to go into what you just said, that she shaves her head and she starts wearing boy clothes, and she's still stealing cars and stealing credit cards. But I'm like, to your point though, Rashid is also naive. Like, you've gotten a third new car in a month. Rashida, doesn't sound strange to you? You're a graduate student. I forget what was her profession. I know, KB, you probably got it. Well, she was like a engineer. She was something. Um, I know she was a graduate student, uh, and then she's like, "Did you get the flowers?" And she says that the flower shop was closed. The flower shop's not closed. So she's like letting things go. But I'm like, but Rashida just falls in love quick, because Rashida tells her, "I love you. I'm glad it's you." Rashida tells her she loves her. I'm glad it's us. I'm glad it's you. Like, she is totally in with this girl, and you really don't know anything about her, and you're having to ask your mother for money for rent. And I'm like, wow. So she's the type that like falls in love quick, and but she's got this loving family. This was the most heartbreaking episode for me, though. I totally agree with you on that. I'm like, this she didn't deserve this at all. So the Naja tickets, though, that did make sense to me, because she's got to revert back to her old self. To me, if you've got to go back to the core, you know what I'm saying? But the interaction with her sitting there with Rashida and they're smoking, and Naja comes on, she's attracted to Rashida. They're like in a comforting, not comforting, but like just a relaxed position, and they're like, she hasn't had that since Marissa. That little like sit there smoking weed. Like, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say the only thing that really ties us to the story is the fact that this is the parallel of her relationship with Marissa.
Yeah.
Versus instead of it being a friendship, it's a sexual relationship. That would make this one even more heartbreaking.
Right. Because and then so when they have the well, I don't like Naja, I hate Naja, I hate Naja, she kind of lets it go and thinks that, oh well, I'll get her to like her, or she just lets it go because she's attracted to her, you know. So she lets it go. And then when she buys those tickets, and okay, let's talk about Rashida yelling at her. Yeah, Rashida just goes in on her because that set the tickets, KB. Well, that was $4,000. Those tickets were $4,000.
Yeah. Those are so I think you're right though. Rashida was very naive. I think, and it's sad, it's part of owning your part in this, because you kind of pick somebody that you met off the street, that doesn't have a job, because you're just like, how did she Tony gets money, she just gets money. How did she put it to her parents? It's something like
Always
just gets
working.
money, or is able to get money, or works their jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, job.
Yeah. And it's just like, okay, Tony doesn't work. Tony doesn't have a job. Not a stable job. Like you said, there are 3 different cars in this short period of time. And meanwhile, you're a hardworking graduate student, right? And so, yes, it is this parallel where Rashida just becomes Marissa. But yeah, these and we're going back to this Queen Naja tickets, and we're going to go see the concert, and she's not as excited because she already told you she doesn't like Naja. This isn't going to turn around. What she actually wanted was the rent, and that is what she wanted, and that's what Marissa wanted. And it's like, here we are again. And it's not clicking. It's not clicking for Dre, who's now Tony. Yeah, this whole relationship was tough, because you think like maybe it gives you this hope that there is going to be this happy ending, but it's part of her core programming that no, I need to see Naja first, right? And in the core programming is Naja, then everybody else. And when you talk bad about Naja, now I will say again, acting wonderful in this scene. In the scene where she is killing her and she is like, you can see the face switching and all that. That was acted very beautifully. I will say that.
I actually wrote that down too. She cries when she killed Rashida, because you're right. It's almost like she had to, because she talked bad about Naja, and not only did she talk bad about Naja, but then she puts her down. She's like, "Are you stupid? Are you like?" She really went in on her, and to us, what Rashida is saying is making total sense. Like, come on, pay your rent, like do. But to her, Naja over everything. It's always Naja over everything. So her Dominic Fishback in this is phenomenal. Like, because it's Naja over everything. You pay the rent, but I'll get you tickets to Naja. That's the most important thing. So yeah. And then she kills her, and she's turning her head to the side. And the way she kills her too, she's like, it's almost like she has to use her hands instead of, like, she could have went and got a weapon.
Like she did.
And yeah, like she's done before. But it's almost like I said, she had to do it this way. And it also took Rashida off guard too, And
Yeah.
yeah, that kill scene was horrible. So, and then she passes out. She falls asleep on top of her, on top of
Mhm.
her dead body. And okay, so talk about this scene, Mr. Rogers, right here. Her burning
Um,
Nigel.
as I was watching it, me and my wife was watching it, and I was like, "There's no way she forgot about those tickets, right?" And then as soon as I said that, that's when they flashed out. Rashida put it in her pocket. I said, "Oh my god!" Like you just did that for no reason. Like four 4 grand down the drain, just like that.
Yes.
It's like, yo. Not only are you killed the love of your life, not only you have to burn the body, do all this stuff, you go through this whole emotional trauma, and you're not even gonna be able to get anything out of it. So it was bad. And I want to say this real quick, not even just stand culture when it comes to bailouts, because that's what Drea lives off of. It's a lot of people who live their life by that way. They do things because they, in some reason, some shape or form, things just work out for them. Money just
Mm-hmm.
fall in their laps, or somebody take care of them, and they're living off of somebody. It's not just their culture. That's a toxic way of living,
Right.
because you're taking advantage of people around you that think that they think that you love them, but in reality you're just a POS. Like you just a piece of shit. Like you just
Mhm.
come on now.
You're
So
not. Yeah,
that shit is crazy.
you're just taking advantage of people. It's just another way of you taking advantage of somebody else, and you know another way of your means to an end, and that's it.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah.
So yeah, I thought the same thing. I was like, wait a minute. You killed the girl. I thought this, oh, you killed her. You pass out, fall asleep on top of her, and you did not get the tickets. I said, you're doing all of this, and you still haven't seen Naja. What did you think, KB, when you saw her like finally remember after, and she remembers as the body is burning? What did you think when you saw that too,
Oh, I had the
KB?
same thought because I was like, I know those tickets aren't, because I remember the tickets were in the pocket too. So I had the same thought that the first thing you would do was get the tickets back. But no, she completely forgot about that and burned her up. And I thought when she remembered she might have gone into the fire. So I'm happy that she didn't do that though. But yeah, I thought first thing she was gonna go in after those tickets, but
That body was done. That she, by the time she remembered, she's sitting there just sad and rocking back and forth, and that body was burnt to a crisp. So that's all she could do. So okay. I'm trying to pull up this picture that she was mesmerized by Nija. So what did you think when she finally gets to the concert? Okay, she gets to the concert. She remembers, or she tells the girl, um, that I lost my tickets. And she used Rashida's name to buy them tickets.
yes, because she used Rashida's credit card.
Yep. She
Yes.
either made a credit
She
card
bought
or used
Rashida's.
her credit card. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
she used, so she bought Rashida's birthday present with Rashida's money.
Rashida's
Which
money.
is even more reason why Rashida was mad, and I get it.
I get it.
And
I would have called her dumb too. I would have called her dumb too. Are you dumb?
Exactly.
Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Like, what? You could have taken me to a restaurant. You could have done anything, but this is what you do. But just like Mr. Rogers just said, these people are a piece of shit. Like, you're not. How is that helping anything? How are you? You don't love me.
No.
So she goes and she kills the scalper. And
wait, hold on.
That was-
Something just flashed in my head. It's that this is a callback to Bills by Destiny's Child.
Oh,
Gets
can
with
you
my
pay
own
my
ends.
bills? Can you pay my bills?
Yes, because remember there's something where it's like you're buying me gifts with my own ends. Yes. Yes, it is a callback to Bills.
Yo, that's great. You're right
Yo,
about that.
you're right. Wow.
The
Yeah.
8'6" dude.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh man.
You're absolutely right. It is a callback. That is so funny. So she gets so she kills the scalper. And the funny thing is when I saw her kill the scalper, I said, these scalpers sometimes they don't even have they be scalping you and they, they're scammers too. I said, how are you don't even know that this
Ticket is real.
ticket is real. I was like, what if this ticket is fake? Uh so she gets into the concert and then she gets up onto the stage. When I tell you, I was like, why isn't anyone stopping her beforehand? But again, I'm thinking too logical about it. That's not what happened. She finally get, and so I said, why aren't they stopping her before she gets to right after you get out over that gate? Somebody should have stopped her. Somebody should have come. But so she was able to get up there and she was able to get to Niger. What did y'all think about that whole scene? Go ahead. You know what? Go ahead, KB.
Yeah, so this again for me is part of that confusion where I was like, and when you see her again, what makes you think that nobody's going to be like, that's the person that bit Nasha? Because I don't understand. I mean, I get that she's obsessed, right? And that she just wants to see Naja at any chance that she can. But also, when you see her again, she's going to recognize, or maybe she wouldn't at this point because it's been a while, but I'm just like, wow, and you bit her. Yes. And I see this picture where they made her Naja and Chloe together. And that whole fantasy scene of Naja stopping security from even doing anything and her giving her the mic. Because I didn't even think, when they gave her the mic and she was like saying something, it's like I didn't know where that came from because I never thought that her thing was singing. Like her thing was she wants to sing with Naja. I knew that she wanted to be friends with her, but I didn't know that. I thought like anything it would be like Naja singing to her or serenading her or something. But I didn't understand her singing it too. That was just the
I'm
one
about
part I didn't
I'm
get.
about to give a scenario, and I want to know what Mr. Rogers thinks of it. Y'all, do you think that this whole thing was a dream? Because this whole thing,
Absolutely.
okay,
The whole thing was a fantasy that she played in her head as they was escorting her out, arresting her. Because for one, you got blood all over you. You got blood from the scalper, all of your hands and everything. So the moment they saw that, they probably went ahead and arrested her. She got a knife on her, all kinds of stuff. But yeah, everything her seeing Niger as Chloe, her get told the song. I mean, because we go back to episode 6, the way they caught her was at the concert, rushing the stage,
mm-hmm.
yellow jacket and everything. They was like, yeah, that's. I forgot what the detective said, but she was like, that's how we got her at the concert. So I knew in this going into the episode, this is how she was gonna get caught. I just ain't knew she was gonna, you know, kill that girl. But the whole thing was just a fantasy to us, to where we just like, oh damn, because I know a lot of people was like, oh, she actually got away with this, like she actually got to meet Nigel and stuff like that. I was like, nah, she ain't met no Nigel. She's in a dream state because her brain can't handle the fact that she's going to jail.
I was
Everything
just
she
trying to
did.
figure out at what point did she was she in a dream state? Like, did she get caught after burning Rashida? Did she get caught at the concert? At what point? Like, she has to get stopped at some point. You're not going to get into this concert that's this easily, or like I said, jumping that fence. Like, people are seeing you jump this fence. And so I was like, well, what point did the stream start? Because there's no way Nigel like gave her like sing. Go ahead and sing. Give
No.
her the mic.
Well,
Okay, so
the guy
Mhm.
that jumped on Dave Chappelle's so he jumped the gate and he got dealt with crazy. So I'm
Very
pretty sure that's
quickly,
the same thing.
they stomped in his face. Like he looked like Martin in the boxing ring. So they jumped on him. So and then when they're taking her to the car and uh she's like looking at Chloe or not Chloe, she's looking at Naja and then she like drops into her chest and they hug and she's crying. I said, this whole thing was a dream. I said, but I don't know what point it was the dream, but I said there's no way that this had to have happened like this. So go ahead.
I
Go
was
ahead, KB.
thinking that there was like a clear break from when she got on stage and everyone started protecting Naija. I felt like that was the end. And then everything
Mm,
else was just her fantasy. Because it was, if you looked at that scene, all of the dancers kind of protected Naja, and I think security came
mhm,
up. And so I
exactly.
think that was the reality, right? And then everything, because then Naja comes up and is like, stop, leave her, let her go, leave my fans alone. I think from that moment on, it was just a fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree
Okay.
with that.
I can agree with that. I can get with that one. I can get because there's no way she followed her out her and Naja alone in the car. No, there's just no way without a bodyguard. Like there's no way. There's no
She's
way.
protecting
Okay,
Nigel from the paparazzi. Like no.
no, no. So okay, y'all, we're about to head out. But a couple of last questions because of that last scene. Do you think there's going to be a season 2? As they already announced the season 2? To explain some of this, what do you think, Mr. Rogers?
uh, I wouldn't mind a season 2, but I feel like the with maybe to explain some stuff with Dre, but I think this could definitely benefit from like a anthology type show, like where they follow a new stand from a new culture and do it in a more concise way, fix some of the things that was wrong this season. So I wouldn't mind that. The only issue with that is everybody's like attached to Dre. It's kind of like what Halloween did, Halloween 1 and Halloween 2, and they did Season of the Witch. Like, oh no, we want Michael Myers.
Right.
So they would have to bring in somebody really lovable and go after a whole new type of culture. Like I wouldn't mind seeing a Barb one, to be honest with you, or Chris Brown. Chris Brown one would be dope. It's like
Yeah.
going up fans over Chris Brown. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind. I'll be up to watch it. I'm not gonna be opposed to it.
Because honestly, like you just said, season 2 to explain some of the holes in it. I agree, but I actually like that idea of just a whole new stand. But the audience is so attached to Dominic Fishback. Like she was so good in this, but you're right. And her character evolved, but her look evolved. She was always somebody different and changing. So yeah, a new stand every season. That would be really interesting. And well, the reason I say another reason I would like for her to come back and for them to continue this a little bit. Do you think she's related to the detective? Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Uh, I think there's some merit to that. I think because we would have to because we already said that it's about the mom because we think the mom is dead, right? So
Mhm.
or at least got hurt, right? So if she's just like a sister or an aunt or something like that, it might not hold as much weight as her being the mom. So I'm not quite sure about that. But they could always say, hey, well, the mom was just hurt and they gave it up for adoption. She wasn't able to take care of no more, and then she dedicated her life to the police force, forgot all about her daughter. So then that shines a whole different type of light on the mom, on the detective. So
Right. Huh.
mm, interesting, though.
Yeah, KB, do you think she's related to the detective?
I think she is. Yeah. But I don't think she's the mom, but I think that she is something, right? Like even if it's just like an older sister or something, like but I do think that she is actually related to her. And I agree, like if they do a season 2, I don't think that they would follow up this story. but I think it might be, the only thing is because it's called Swarm, I don't know if they would stay within that kind of beehive. But I think it would also be interesting if they did it somewhat like American Horror Story, where it's kind of like a switching up of the roles, but somehow they're all tied in together, but you're watching the same actors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would love that.
Oh, Barry Dominique Beck. She don't gotta be the killer. She could just be, the detective. Who knows?
Right. Something else. But I love American Horror Story, so that would be interesting. I do think that she's related to the detective. I just don't know how. Is she a cousin? Is she an aunt? Is she related in some way? Did the detective know her mother and know how she died and the whole thing, that she just feels, well, she can feel connected to a case that she's covering. So, and also I just want them to put some buttons on, like, I'm sorry I spilled the milk and the milk was red. I think that was her seeing her mother dying, but we don't know that. Like, I would love just a little bit, some holes, just to patch up some of those holes of that, but that we know are there. That's what I was like. I'm sorry you spilled the milk, because the adopted parents, when Patricia said we didn't know why she kept saying, I'm sorry I spilled the milk. I'm sorry I spilled the milk. So whatever happened, it did not happen with the Jacksons. So it had to happen before that. So I would love to for them to patch up some of those holes in the story. So, but the having it come back like American Horror Story, that would be interesting. Yeah. So that's that, man. I did like this. And it had so many layers. So yeah, I would give it, I'm still giving it a 6 or a 7 because there are so many holes, but at the same time, I love the storyline. I love the characters. Also, last question, what did you guys think about him filming, using film, and how it was that gritty texture and not going digital? What did you think about that? Go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
Well, one of the only I love horror, so I love that gritty take on things. The only scary movie that ever like scared me was Candyman, and it was shot in the same way of just
True.
grittiness, and just the blood looks different in a way. There was one scene where he used CGI blood, and it was with the Billie Eilish death, but it didn't really look that good. But everything else was just spot on. So I loved it. He said it was a pain in the ass, but I loved
Yeah,
it.
he did. And I actually, so Donald Glover had this interview and they said, well, what was it like? And he said it was a pain in the ass shooting with film. And he said there was a scene where there was like a piece of hair on it, and he of course couldn't get it off. And I was like, what scene was that? Do you know what scene that was, Mr. Rogers?
I don't. I want to go back and look it up.
I know. I was really trying to think what scene it was, but I did like the gritty texture of it, and it made sense to the tension. And you know what? You're right. The episode, what is this? Episode 5 with the cult, or the women's retreat, the women's
Episode 4.
This is the only scene
that
that
was
went
4.
like more deep. That was 4.
Yeah.
You're right. This is the only scene that he kind of switched it up. But so okay, KB, what was your favorite episode?
Oh gosh. Okay. My favorite. I feel like my favorite was probably 5, when they went to go see the Jacksons' home. Right. That was my favorite. I'll say that was my favorite. 4 was the scariest for me, but my favorite scene was that food scene.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah, that food scene with her and the guy eating food. That was my favorite scene. Scariest episode was 4, but my favorite one was them with Leon and go. Just I think because there were so many layers to that relationship. Because, like I said, when they were calling each other sisters, I thought that they were play sisters, and then it really gave you the insight and the backstory of like, oh, like you guys really were family, and this is the dynamic that you really had behind the scenes. And when I go back to episode 1, I'm recognizing that they were just doing the best that they could, and it clicked to me why they kicked her out of the funeral. Well, not even why, but because when they kicked her out of the funeral, that was part of me wondering, like, well, if you're sisters and you would be at the funeral, why would the family doesn't want you here? If you're part of the family, then you're part of the family. But they said the family doesn't want you here. And so now going back to it, it's like, oh, I get that.
Yeah. Episode 6 or no, episode 5, we understand why they kicked her out, but we didn't understand that until, because she was like, that's my sister, I am family, and the family wants you gone. So I didn't understand. I was like, well, I thought they were sisters. So I said, there's got to be something going on with that. So my favorite scene my favorite episode was this. Well, I have two. I gotta say, this episode 2 with the strippers and the big guy, and I was like, what makes you think you're going to think she tried to distract him with the frying pan, and that whole scene. The strippers were funny, and Paris Jackson, I was like, this is another girl who needs something. This is another girl who needs help or who needs a friend, and she shoots her. This one, and this whole episode with this sweet guy that she locked in the freezer. I was just like, that whole food scene. I was like, oh, this poor guy. He's gonna be hurting in the morning. And I love that. So those two episodes, and I also think, you know what, and I'm glad that he has the humorous episodes with these characters that we care about, on top of of the sad stuff, on top of the really touching stuff. Yeah. um and the worst scene was the last scene, just because that was just, oh, I can't believe she had to with Rashida. Okay, Mr. Roger, what was your favorite scene, episode?
So episode 4 is my favorite episode, mainly because of the layers of acting that Dominique and Billie Eilish had. I want to say Billie Eilish character is probably like my second favorite character. She seems so just mysterious, cool, calm, and collect, and just how do you have all this power? Like it was. I wanted to know more about her. My favorite scene. I do. I really like the dance scene of her cleaning up the blood and everything. Like it's just so chaotic, and it reminds me of. Have you ever seen Angel Hearts, where Lisa Bonet and Mickey
Yeah.
Rourke? Yeah, it reminds me of that for some reason. It's just eerie.
I could see
So
that reminding of that. That was a very chaotic but gluttonous and lustful scene. Like
yeah,
she's dancing around with was that a chicken? What was she dancing
it was
around
a
with?
chicken, and then it was the chicken, and then she cut it, and it
Sacrifice.
and then
Oh,
yeah. So it reminded me of that. Which was up there. I will also throw in the last episode was just heartbreaking, but
heartbreaking.
it's very memorable. It's very memorable. So it's just like how KB said, is it gives you hope. It gives you, oh, was that you, Chris? I'm sorry. Somebody said it gives you hope. It gives you that sense of like, okay, maybe Dre, Tony can actually turn their life around a little bit. Then they just come to a screeching halt. Record get interrupted from all the lovely music to nope, still doing the same dumb stuff.
Mhm.
So those are mine.
Yeah, this whole scene with the dinner table and Cree Summer, not just the fact. Yeah, I loved. We love seeing her back on the screen
Mhm.
again, but then at the same time, I was like, this is a loving mother, and that's another thing. I was like, y'all, girl, she gonna miss her. Like, why?
Yeah, like the
They're going
parents
to
don't deserve that.
exactly. Like her the parents, they're gonna miss her. Like they were so accepting of her, and that's another thing. And I know we're gonna wrap it up in a minute. Yeah, it's almost like she found so much hope. She was like, okay, there are good parents out here. There are good people out here, good parents. And then you kill her daughter. Like,
Yeah.
you're done.
I will say this. This is the genius and how much we love Cree Summer. I noticed that we actually heard her before we saw her.
Yes.
And so when I heard her, I was like, that's Cree Summer. I was like, I know that voice anyway.
I literally said, Cree.
Yes.
I was like, is that Cree Summer? I was like, yes. When she said, come on up here, we hug in this house, we hug in this family. I said, oh my goodness. I said, that was
Yes.
just exactly. I just loved it. And so there were so many parts in the story. And honestly, the fact, and I will give Donald Glover and I will give this show this, the production this, we really cared about these characters. We really, until she turned into a full-blown serial killer I was like, oh, so you just killing people on GP now. You're just doing it. I was like, I just felt so bad for her. Even when she killed Khalid's character, I was like, she had to do it, because even this, I still like gave a damn about her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that, I was like, and then by this time, I said, oh, you're just killing people now. And so yeah, I really do appreciate the fact that we cared about these characters. Mr. Rogers, tell people where they can find you now that we have all these issues with TikTok. Give everybody everything and what's next, what you're going to be doing, and tell them about My Honest Opinion. Go ahead.
Okay.
You got the floor.
So I'm Mr. Rogers Review. You can find me on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and YouTube. I'm doing shorts on YouTube now. On TikTok, I do a series about honest opinions where I started it with actors and actresses, and then I moved into rappers. I do cartoons, like the old cartoons for like Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network. I'm going into Disney next. And I also still do my movie reviews. And I have a contract with the contract just went through with First Name Studios. We're gonna do. I'm gonna be sponsored. They're gonna sponsor my movie reviews where I get a certain amount of views that I get some compensation. So that is very huge, and I'm very proud of that. That was my first contract negotiation. They were pretty successful. So I'm happy. I started this at the beginning of December of last year, and I've been going through the roof lately. 46,000 followers in TikTok, so I'm trying to bring that over to YouTube and everything. So that's what I'm doing. That's where you can find me at, people. My Twitter is Thanos was right, by the way. So.
Oh wow.
KB, what do you got for us? Give us something to say.
Oh, I am not anywhere. I am.
KB is on Instagram.
I am in my office. Yes.
The Irish Owl, is that right? The Irish Owl?
Yep.
The Irish Owl. Yeah. KB is a full-grown lawyer out here, so she a lawyer in these streets. When I gotta schedule something, she's like, okay, Crystal, let me know when you need me. So I really appreciate her coming through. Okay, you guys, so I'm really trying to and Mr. Rogers inspires me as well, because this is my passion, entertainment and film producer. I produced 3 film shorts and screenwriter. I'm really in the lab, so I'm doing that as well. I'm looking literally at my log lines, and I just wrote one more for a feature. So keep me honest, you guys. Keep me. I need some accountability. So I need y'all to keep. Crystal, where you at? Where you at? What's going on? What's going on? Because I really want to try pitch these in the next. I'm giving myself 6 months. So that's one thing I'm doing. But my next review, and if Mr. Rogers and KB would like to join me, I'm thinking of doing Air. And not just because Michael Jordan and everything, but I love seeing Viola Davis and her husband together because I never see them together, very, very often. And I think, I would like to see that story. But the only issue, I don't love that type of story, like what do you call it, the Jerry Maguire type of fast talk. I like it, but I don't know. I like that, but I don't know. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say, Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, I'm not too big on the when it comes to like biopics or well, I do like some biopics, but I'm not a sneakerhead. So this one doesn't really like reach out to me because they're not talking about Michael Jordan's career. They're basically putting all the spotlight on the company, and he's
Right.
just the face for the company. So I'm not. The only draw to me is Viola Davis and her husband.
Yeah.
So
Really, that's the
I'm
reason.
not sure if I'm.
Yeah.
But I would like to know, and the sad thing is, I would love to know the history. Michael Jordan's father was he was very close with his father, and he's like, my father was hilarious. How his father passed away was very tragic, and everything. So if you guys know, like, so I don't want to get the story wrong. I know it, but I don't start me to lying. So I'm not gonna say it right now, but I would like something like that. Go ahead. But you know what I'm saying? But that's the draw to me is Viola Davis. So I'm thinking of Air. If you guys have other suggestions, please let me know. My Instagram is Crystal Lynetta on Instagram, and I'm gonna be consistent. That's the just like Mr. Rogers said, that's the key is to be consistent. So catch us in hopefully in another hopefully next week we'll be doing one more. Actually, Air comes out the 13th. I haven't decided I'm going to do it yet, but nonetheless, I'm going to keep doing these because this is a lot of fun. I love dissecting these, pulling things apart like this. The stories and the character breakdowns are so exciting to me. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, let me know. And that's how we got the suggestion for our last one with Candy. Was somebody said, Kester, you need to do Candy. You need to do the soccer mom serial killer in the Midwest. So yeah, let us know what you.
Oh man, I miss Candy. I actually like that show.
Yes. We pulled that one apart. And then KB being a lawyer, she said, Crystal, pull this, put this in the slide, put this in the slide.
All the elements,
so,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's dope.
So let us know what you'd like us to review next. And yeah, thank y'all. Have a good night.
Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Right.
Nice to meet you, a lot of y'all too.